All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kulick in the morning from a July 4th weekend. Hope you had a great holiday. Glad to be with you.
Great time. We were in Savannah all week. Had an absolute blast. But it's kind of hard. We all went to bed last night, between 7 and 8. The whole family. So it was kind of hard getting back into the mix, but we're in a good spot now. Now it's full speed ahead. Media days start up tomorrow. For
Big
me,
12, correct?
So Big 12 tomorrow. So that'll be fun and just a lot to look forward to, man. We got SEC next week. It's starting to be here.
Super real. Now, if you got things need to get done, get them done this week because it becomes pretty hectic after that. Next week pretty much cancels itself out for things that we need to get done, things that we need to do because it's Atlanta and it's pretty much start to finish all day, every day. It's nonstop. John, 4th of July weekend for you, how was it?
It was fun and weird because we were off Wednesday, so with the holiday being Thursday, Friday felt like Sunday, Saturday felt like Sunday, and then Sunday just felt off because I was like, wait a minute, I've been off for too much. I don't quite know what to do with myself. But
yeah,
also with that, we were in bed at 9 o'clock on the 4th.
9 o'clock on the 4th, which was, I'm with you, Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah, the days for us were rough. We hit the Barons game Wednesday night and stayed for fireworks, which, of course, felt like the 4th, but it wasn't.
Right.
Got invited to the pool for some friends on the 4th and then didn't watch fireworks on the 4th, which was just kind of odd.
Okay, so right.
And then got invited to a friend's house on the 5th, did our own fireworks, which is, again, it's just the whole weekend was a little bit off because of where that holiday was. You're right. But a bit of a rough start in our house. Got home. What was our last day on the radio? Tuesday?
Yeah.
Wednesday?
No,
yeah, that one too.
Did we do a show Wednesday or not?
Yes.
No.
We, in fact, did.
Okay, we did.
Yeah.
All right, so after the show Wednesday, so we didn't have plans. We've got a trip coming up in a couple of weeks, and we had been doing some things on the previous weekend, so I just figured, hey, long weekend, a lot of options for things to do. We don't need to go to the Bahamas or to Maine or Europe. Let's just hang out at the house, have some time together. Our kids were just at camp for a week, 2 of the 3. Let's all kind of do some cool things together. And I get home, and my wife is literally Googling, houses, resorts, condos, places to go.
In Birmingham?
I wish.
Oh.
And immediately felt like a failure of a father for not having a lake house or a islands trip planned for the 4th of July.
You say this every year. I feel like you always say that. I feel like
There's nothing like the 4th of July that makes you feel like a failure of a father.
You said this after
not
Memorial
having a
Day.
lake house. It's 2 weekends a year. It makes you feel like that. Memorial Day doesn't happen because we go to Decatur for every Memorial Day, so I'm fine with that. 4th of July, we, for some reason, usually don't make big plans.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's my fault. I don't know if I'm looking ahead to media days. I don't know if it's where it lands in the summer, but it
does kind of sneak up on you.
We don't usually, I'm not a big 4th of July planner. There's not a thing that we do every year.
Yeah.
And so there were a couple of years in a row that we went to South Carolina and hung out at my cousin's house. He lives on the lake, and we just we have kids similar ages. That sort of faded. I think he had something come up one year and we just didn't replan it. And so I'm sitting there thinking, all right, do I need to go book a trip for the weekend? What's the problem here? I thought we
just
could
a last minute trip to the just a last minute trip to Paris.
Yeah, we'll go to the Grenadines here for
I haven't been to Fiji in forever. You know what?
It's somewhere drivable like Key West.
Is there a direct to the Maldives this afternoon?
Yeah.
See if we can get on that one.
That's
Santorini
perfect.
Feels nice.
Yeah.
So I'm she kind of, thankfully, she was like, I just, as it is in today's society, she had been on Instagram. And it's everybody's at the islands, everybody's at their lake house, and here's poor us at our home. But we ended up getting a lot of stuff done around the house. And we did a lot of cool stuff around Birmingham.
You go.
So
you're good.
And our kids got sparkler swords and sparkler machine guns.
Perfect.
So how can you lose when you're doing that?
Yeah, that's all you need.
But it was cool. We hit the Barons game. Their fireworks are great. By the way, from first pitch to final out, under 2 hours.
Oh, I know. Oh,
this is the fastest baseball game I've ever been part of in my life.
On Wednesday? Yeah.
We got there right after first pitch. My wife went to the concession stand. Line was a little bit long. She got back. It was top of the 6th.
Yep.
She's like, what just happened? And I was like, a lot of strikes.
That's amazing.
Not many balls. And a lot of first pitch ground balls. And, we're about to hit the 7th.
The players try to get out of there, too.
Well, it was perfect for fireworks,
Yes.
but then of course, it's light outside.
Oh, it's still
So they hit the delays and had like some fan games and some different things. And she's like, of course, the kids at that point are like, "Where are the fireworks?" I'm like, "Well, the sun's up.
They'll be here.
So we
Trust
it. Got to buy a little bit of time, but
trust the process."
What's wild is as quick as that game was, the one on the 4th was that much faster.
Which is wild because I don't know when this happened, or I didn't know that this happened. I didn't realize that they did this day and age. But thanks to John Cook for getting us set up at the Bears game. They now schedule it where all teams get a home game on either the 3rd or the 4th.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes
Which
sense.
makes
yeah.
perfect sense
Yeah.
because I asked him, I said, hold on. I looked at the schedule. You guys are playing Nuga here tonight, and you're at Nuga tomorrow night, right? And he said, yeah, it's a quick turnaround. We don't usually do that, but they scheduled it to where every team gets a home game on either the 3rd or the 4th, which is, I can imagine fireworks for minor league teams. It's got to be a top 3 game. I mean, they had almost 9,000 people there.
Oh my gosh.
It was an awesome crowd.
Ton.
And Birmingham had a walk-off.
That's
like
a
the
ton.
kids were, it was all like, I mean, I don't know what it is. Like it's cool to watch, and you've seen it some too, Greg. Like my 8-year-old, like emotionally invests himself in games that he knows nothing about. Like last night, like Pete Crow Armstrong hits his opposite field single, and he loses his. He's like, "Dad, Pete Crow, opposite field, they scored." He goes, and he comes running into my office. He goes, "They ended up scoring 2 runs." And I was like, "Son, it's a regular season Cubs game. I know it's the Cardinals. It's a rivalry game, but like, what are you doing?" I mean, he was just into it. And same thing the other night, Bears game. He's losing his mind. Walk off. He's like taking his shirt off. I mean, I love it though. I love the fact that he can get into it, and he has no real reason to get into it.
Yeah.
But it was good. We got the shed cleaned out. We got some closets cleaned out, which needed to happen. Kids didn't really.
What was in the shed?
Too much. Just a lot of junk, man.
A slave for when they grow up.
We had 2 truckloads of junk.
I've never found
tossed.
something useful that a shed houses.
On a lot of useful things. I mean, there's, like.
Yeah, but they're hanging up on the side of the shed.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
everything else
things
is
out
in
of
the
place?
shed.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes, everything else in the shed you literally don't need.
Well, there were some things that we use. It's just they were all in the front of the shed, like as in right by the door.
So you can,
where you can take your one step in, get it, and then you're done. And then we did find some things towards the back. We're like, wow, I hadn't used that in a while. Kids
So
might
it
like
slowly
that.
navigates to the back, and then it becomes out of sight, out of mind.
Well, or not moving all those things to get to it so kids can play with it.
Who fills it up to who pushes the items back that are no longer in the cycle?
I think it's collective.
Collective.
I think it's just either the kids put something there or there's something that you don't
It just gets
need
pushed.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, let's put that over there. And
Yeah.
then a bike gets shoved in there or just, it's a lot. There's no one person to blame for that. But you can walk into it now. It's great. It's got actual floor space in
I
there.
wasn't trying to assess blame. I'm just trying to figure out how I can do some of those things, because I feel like every time I push something to the back, it automatically gets pulled out, and we have to have a decision whether or not it stays.
Well,
This app, I saw it. This moved. Do you need this?
Exactly.
Let's get rid of it.
Well, and now it's, of course, it's organized now. I'm doing the quote fingers if you're not watching on YouTube, which that'll go away in a matter of weeks because, we'll get the inflatable Gaga pit that Santa brought us. And that won't go back in a bin towards the back like it is now. That'll just be dropped right on the floor in the front. You won't be able to get around that. Then everything else will just be dropped on top of that. So then it'll go back to abnormal in less than a month, I'm sure. But it's all organized for now. So it was a good weekend, man. We had a good time. How did the grilling go? Were you responsible for that at all, being out of town, or
no? My parents, God love them. My mom is remarkably OCD. Actually, the oven, they've now lived in this home for many months now. The oven was used for the very first time this weekend when baking some stuff for the kiddos. Yes, you heard that right. The oven
they didn't move in that long ago.
The stovetop had not been used. It's been at least 6 weeks.
Yeah, but you're getting reacclimated. You're doing new things. I think it's just you and your husband. I can see that where it's like you want to try new places to eat. Maybe your dad just figured out the Grubhub app. He's like, look how cool this is. I want it because you've told us stories about him and technology. So he's like, well, why would we go to dinner? We can just order it.
Wait, you mean this just shows up at my house and they charge my credit card? I don't have to give them the 20? Like, this is great. No,
tip was actually added.
So they live in a neighborhood in Savannah. Couple of Mac and Cube listeners over there, by the way.
How many times did y'all have the grilled cheese, by the way?
The grilled cheese was frequent.
Cheese pizza didn't work?
No.
Oh.
No. The grilled cheese is frequent, but we did find a place that had $8 grilled cheeses. So I felt like I felt so rich after the $8 grilled cheese because the $11 grilled cheese put me I was done.
You could have had one at that.
No money left over at that point. At 8, all of us. Dad'll eat your extra chip. That's one. And you guys can eat your $8 grilled cheeses. But we had a great time. We were bouncing around, really, really good time. But in their community, all it is are like, there's got to be 30 restaurants in their community. I mean, inside the gates of their community, there's about 25 places to eat.
Okay, that's not a community. That's a town.
Yeah.
That's a township.
It's called a community.
It's
like Greystone on steroids.
Yeah, I hate to tell them, but they live in their own city.
Maybe. But it's like gated. So it's like Greystone on steroids. And they have their own Publix inside the community.
Yeah, they call that Fort Jackson in South Carolina.
Yeah. It's kind of does feel like that. Like it was, but we ended up going, what's hilarious about this is that there's probably 25 places to eat. And I'm not exaggerating, in the 7+ days that we were there. We got there Sunday afternoon. We got back yesterday afternoon. So in the 7+ days, it's about 8 days, I guess, if we're going to really count the hours. In the amount of time that we were there, I think we ate at the same restaurant at least 12 times. So think about that. We had really 2 real meals a day. They did cook a little breakfast, but I would say that even the 3 breakfasts that I had all came from that restaurant. You might have been safe to say that of the 21 meals eaten and consumed in Savannah, 15 were at the same restaurant.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It was legit. It was great. It was next to the pool. The pool had slides. The kids were entertained. We were in a good spot. But I just hope that next time we go, we can find the place that isn't $11 grilled cheeses.
Does your parents' neighborhood have a commissary?
I know what that is.
It's military for like grocery store.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
I only know this because my grandfather, when we would go to South Carolina, the commissary apparently was like 2% cheaper. So they would go there once a week to get their groceries. Milk at the commissary is $1.98, and at the grocery store it was $2.32. So you had to go to the commissary.
Back to our original point, when you are going out of your way to save money, and you're driving out of your way, like when you referenced, hey, I'm not going to go to Clanton to get my gas because it's $2.55 instead of $2.74, then you're actually costing yourself money.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think that way, though. I do think it was actually I think it was a lot less expensive, and I don't know if you didn't pay taxes or something there, but there were advantages to going because you had
it.
You had to be.
I'm sure my grandparents went to the commissary. They might still try to go to the commissary. I have no idea. Would not surprise me.
That'll be the next door in their little township.
Yeah, my parents don't go to the commissary. My grandparents go to the commissary.
Well, they might find a way to get it there, though.
They might.
Maybe it's like USAA, and you're in the family, so you can go.
I would imagine in the community, a significant amount of people have probably served in that community. A bunch of people are a little bit older. I would imagine that several people have served, so maybe they could put a commissary in based on percentage of the population that served. I could see that.
Speaking of financial aspects of 4th of July and things of that nature, I don't know if you guys did. It sounds like the neighborhood you're in would probably frown upon this. Did you purchase any fireworks this weekend?
I did not.
What's the most you've ever spent at once on fireworks?
$175.
I barely got you beat. And it was split at $180. Yeah.
How much did you get for that?
A decent amount, but probably not what you're thinking. It was.
What day did you buy it?
So the canister with the big, like you drop the big mortar shells down inside of them, which are awesome. Probably 8 of those. The sparkler gun, sparkler sword, the regular sparklers, some Roman candles that were actually pretty legit because they blew up at the end, which is a little concerning of the, hey, you can hold this, because one of those kind of blows up like a regular firework in your hand, not going to go well, not going to end well. But regular Roman candles, and I think that, and of course the little things you throw on the ground, which are such a waste of money. But like I guess I say they're 5 cents. They're probably $7.05. Honestly, I don't know how much
they're
they cost.
safe.
Thankfully, we didn't get any of the snakes. I don't even know if they do the snakes anymore.
I'd like to think no, but somewhere.
God, I love those as a kid.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. They're so dumm. The things.
I never liked the snakes, so they didn't ever really move.
Oh, when you stacked 11 on top of each other, they did. That's what we would do. Put the whole pack on top.
I always
and then
felt like
your buddy put his pack, and then they just went everywhere.
See, like my thing, like I've never bought fireworks ever. I mean, outside of, some sparklers or whatever every once in a while, like I've never really bought fireworks.
No
like
bottle rocket wars when you were a kid?
No. No, we were responsible. We weren't trying to blow ourselves up.
Yeah, we weren't. I'm not even going to try to pretend. I'll
Yeah.
just tell you straight up. May or may not have ended in the Homewood jail for that at one point, but things
It
happen.
happens.
Things happen. Don't shoot Roman candles out of your car going down Green Springs, kids. Bad idea.
So you were
I didn't
capable of
say I
driving
was-
at that point, and you still
Didn't-
thought that was a good idea?
Never said anything about driving. Just said in vehicle. Allegedly. Maybe.
Wow.
You ended up in
many
jail, I
years
mean.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hell, there wasn't even a Publix on Green Springs when this happened. So to give you an idea how long ago that was. Or wasn't, if it happened. But just bad idea. Don't try that if you have friends in your car.
I was honestly feeling kind of excited about doing that. So I'm pretty relieved about that. I no longer need to put that on my bucket
Thank
list.
you.
Shy away
You
from
helped
that.
me
You
out.
just saved me $7 and a night in the clink.
And
like
a finger
I'm good
and a
with
half,
that.
probably.
Yeah, and probably a couple bad articles on AL.com. Like I think I'm probably good for that. I was really, really tempted
Or
to. I
good
was going to do
articles.
it, but it wasn't going to be at night. I was just going to do it as we're
On another
driving
day.
across
Yeah.
on the way to work
Well,
every
then
day.
you don't get the visual effect of the fireworks.
Not
or the Roman
important.
candles. Yeah,
I don't want them to see
they
me
don't
coming.
hit. They don't hit the pavement and bounce up onto other vehicles and give you the full effect. The reason I bring that up is this year, thankfully, one of our friends invited us out to Shelby County to hang out for the 4th.
Yeah.
But on the way back, obviously, you can buy fireworks there, and they always have the one giant pack that's
Right.
probably John usually around 150.
About,
And
yeah.
I guess we could have just gotten that. It's not that anymore. They had a quote pack value set, whatever you want to call it, of
Yeah.
fireworks.
Right.
And I'm not exaggerating, literal size of a doorway. Up, across, and down.
Oh my.
So I want to know, like,
and I asked the guy, I said, is that everything you have? Like, is that literally like when we go to Waffle House and order the entire menu? Is that what that is? Is that one of everything from the menu? He's like, nah, a lot of the small stuff's not in there. Okay.
Okay, well, you know.
so it's the size of a doorway.
I'm telling you, Greg, it was
How much it cost?
probably bigger than that. $11.50.
That's actually not a bad deal. $11.50.
I think it depends on how deep it is. Because if it's just one stacked up to that,
Because I
it
told.
could be kind of a ripoff.
So here's
But
the
if
thing.
there's
Yeah, it could
one
be, yeah.
behind it,
Yeah.
now maybe we're talking.
And in this week, my kids were really at a big concession, negotiation phase. In Savannah, it started at 9:30. That was when the fireworks started. I'm like, buddy, by the time we get over there, drive back, it's literally on a driving range. It's in a crowded driving range. There's 1,000 golf carts. There's 1,000 cars. Like we're not gonna be able to make that work. But I can promise you this: next time we go to the lake, I will get you fireworks on the way to the lake, and we will do a couple off our dock.
Okay.
How much do I need to spend to give them like a halfway decent show? Like 200?
No,
No.
because just stay away from the small stuff
Yeah.
and just get those big balls that you drop in the canister. They're awesome. They look like big real fireworks, and you can get some that.
I kind of want one of those ready-made packs, so I only have to light one fuse. Does it not work like that?
No, you don't want to be like Lake Martin or San Diego. Don't do that where they all go at once on the ground. That's not a good idea.
Oh, I heard a dock blew up in Lake Martin. Yeah.
Maybe.
Google
Down
Google the greatest individual firework of all time in San Diego. It's an amazing video. The entire fireworks show
Yeah.
goes off at once.
It was
It's
cool.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
not intended that way, but yeah, that's the way that it went. No, but if you get like, and they're different also. So it's the one big gold sparkler that goes out every direction, and then another one like goes out and crackles at the end. Like there were like 8 different ones that came in ours, and the kids thought they were incredible. So I think for 125, 150, you could probably do really well, especially if you just get those things, because some of the other stuff's just it's flat out not worth it. But we'll talk more fireworks. We'll continue the firework conversation. First, one thing you don't want to do on your floors is fireworks because you'll ruin them. If you have, who do you call, Greg? It's Shannara Flooring.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm not sure what the connection is.
We don't have a fireworks sponsor on the show
I was
yet.
Say, but
Roberts would help
after
too.
this,
you
I'm
said you'll
hoping
ruin the fireworks show, but I don't know. I mean, I'm good with that.
I'm hoping Big Billy Bob's Burner Corner gets right in there and wants to give us some of those for next year.
If you're thinking about firing off fireworks in your home and it ruins the floors, then you can definitely call Shannara Flooring. I don't think that'd be a wise choice. Cortec Flooring could probably handle it. I don't know that for sure. But it is 100% waterproof, pet-proof, super durable flooring. And Shannara Flooring has over 40,000 square feet of that Cortec flooring in stock so that you can go see it, feel it, touch it, experience it before you install it. It's honestly just a terrific opportunity to go check them out. They also credit, so make sure the next time you're thinking about making some changes to your floors, go with the company that you know and trust. It's Shannara Flooring. You can see them all online at footandyou.com.
All right, continue talking fireworks and some that have in this state next on Mac and Cube in the morning. Welcome back. Yeah, McElroy and Kulik in the morning, Monday, July 7th, 7:25 a.m. each and every week at this time. Thanks to our friend at Craneworks.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it. The big dog.
Morning is brought to you by Big Dog's Got It.
On a, are they, I guess, positions that you to go see, go eat some, or is it?
A year ago, we were up this year, but we went to the friends. I think so. What do
you fans that actually that pretty much faded?
Back in the radio station, or write a letter to the editor. I think by the time people have expressed themselves on social media and calling shows like this, I think they're pretty much given out by the time they run into the subjects.
Well, I do think that you'd be hard-pressed to get accosted in person now. You've come and become such a huge fan of everything Alabama and of Auburn. You are just never play the contrarian anymore. That's the thing, ever.
No, and that's the best part of it. Everybody loves me, Greg. You know that. But I mean, there was a time, and I'm not going to bore you with my memoirs here, but I mean, I really thought my life was in jeopardy going to an Alabama football game back post Bryant. I mean, I looked around for snipers, and oftentimes the biggest foe I had was the actual head coach.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, Paul, we kind of look at where the recruiting is right now for both Alabama and Auburn, and for a while it was, not bad, but this late surge that we've seen from Alabama these last couple of weeks, I've been kind of pumped up about it, if I'm going to be honest, like not being a fanboy, but just like, that'll show you. See, I told y'all you could recruit. Like I've really enjoyed it, kind of, to be honest with you. But what has been your take?
I think at this moment in time, Kalen DeBoer can do no wrong. I mean, he is dialing up everything on the recruiting trail. I think some of it, and I know he's using this to friends and to fans alike, that there is stability in the program, and that goes back to not losing anyone in the portal. And I really think that helps the momentum. And I think, Greg, you can say this 1,000 times and fans will shake their head, but you and I and Cole know it's true. The brand of Alabama remains large, and I think it just goes to show that as great as Nick Saban was, and he was, this program lives on because there is a very strong infrastructure there, and Kalen DeBoer is now being able to take advantage of it. Yeah, he lost some players in the first days. His first season, in many ways, was terribly disappointing because of the expectations. But he has calmed everything down. He's got a good staff. He's got a great GM. He's getting what he needs, and that to me is the biggest surprise, because I think a lot of people, including myself, wondered, could Alabama hang in this Texas oil money world that we live in, where it's hard to keep up with certain programs, but they are, and I think there's a flip side of that, and I have a feeling you'll get to it in a minute. But as great as Alabama looks at this particular moment, Auburn looks equally as bad.
And there were some comments made at an ambush event at Lake Martin from Hugh Freeze and John Cohen that a lot of Auburn fans found disturbing. I don't know how many heard those. I think a lot of them probably read those. I do think the context is probably a little bit different when you hear them as opposed to just read them, but it comes across as some excuse making as to why maybe the Auburn recruiting is not near that level that Alabama's and some others are right now. What do you make when you hear those comments about the money's not as equal, and we hope some other people are called out for some of the things that they're doing that they don't view as correct, and they're going to do things the right way, and that's why things necessarily aren't up to speed?
I understood what their approach was a year ago, and Cole, you heard it a lot more than I did. But when I was in Auburn during the season, I got the song and dance from John Cohn about what they inherited. Okay, I bought it, but that's over now. Hugh Freeze has had a couple of seasons. The recruiting looked to be on fire, and now it doesn't. So let's quit going back and blaming everything on Brian Harsin. That has to end. That is a terrible message from Cohen. It's a terrible message from Freeze. They need to sell themselves and quit blaming other people. And if they keep pushing this narrative, I'm not going to say it is going to blow up in their face. I think it already has blown up in their face. So when you're under assault and your message isn't working, change the narrative. And I think a situation that did not look dire a couple of weeks ago is starting to look very bad, at least perceptively. And that's all we're talking about. We are literally on the deadest 2 weeks of the year. That ends in 7 days. We know that. But if they walk into it, if Hugh Freeze walks into Atlanta and tries this same song and dance, it will explode. And he will get even more skewered than he already is. And I think he just, I don't know the infrastructure around him that's advising him, but the one place I wouldn't be in public right now is a golf course. I'm all for enjoying yourself. We all do it. We all have fun, especially at this time of the year. But when you subject yourself to a picture and Lane Kiffin control you in a nanosecond, that's a disaster. And that's really where they are right now.
I think you and I have had this conversation before, Paul, and I've referenced how FU coaches, what I've asked guys to have and have near them and be around them. And like I do, there's so many yes men inside facilities. What else does that lack of awareness point to for you in this specific instance of just not understanding how these things are going to be taken?
Well, all programs are insular, Cole, as you know. That's always been one of the problems because a football coach is busy, especially one like Coach Freeze, who's dealing with a lot of real world issues as opposed to winning a recruit against Alabama and Georgia. And sometimes you have to lean on the people around you. We do too. We have producers that who are not only our teammates but our friends, and I want my people. And I know you want your people to say, hey, come on. And I do that on my show. I mean, I sometimes turn into a 22-year-old and my producer will say, hey, calm down. You need that. And that's what somebody needs to look at Hugh Freeze and say, Coach, enough of this already. We need to work on an address in Atlanta that drops people in their sleep, as opposed to, well, Brian Harsin sucked and we inherited a mess. I mean that's a tough crowd over there, and he's failed. I mean he has completely lost the summer, and that's the easiest time of the year to win. And I frankly, if you go back 2 or 3 months, I thought Hugh Freeze was winning. I mean, all I heard was how great recruiting was going, how great things are moving. Everybody's in alignment. We're sitting here 7 days from media days, which is really the kickoff to the football season. What has happened to Auburn? What has happened to what seemed like a sure thing? And it comes at the worst possible time, because if the season goes haywire, the support I thought he would have, and I think you agree, may not be there anymore.
What do you think he can do to kind of get back on track? I know it's results. I know it's win games. I think that's the easy answer. But is there anything that he can do in the next week or so, in the time that he's at the podium next week or whatnot, to kind of get things back on track to where he's got great support?
I don't know if you can solve that problem in a week, but you better be forceful, Greg. And that's not really Hugh Freeze's forte. He's a very cagey guy who most people have always liked, but there's always that group out there who's suspicious of him. Who will say the same things about him, who, by the way, very well may be true, that he's insecure, that he's thin-skinned, that he takes criticism poorly. So I'm wondering what he's thinking right now. And one interview won't do it. One masterful performance in Atlanta is not really the ticket. You and I and Cole know what the solution to this problem is. It's getting out on that football field in late August and September and changing the narrative there, because that's really the only place he can go. I thought he had done a good enough job with the fan base and in recruiting that even if it was a 7 or 8 win season, the argument would be you have to stand behind Coach Freeze because of the alignment. I'm not sure that alignment is there anymore.
Paul, outside of Auburn and Alabama, speaking of narratives, what do you think the narrative / storylines are for next week? The next time we talk to you will be in Atlanta for Media Days. What do you think the stories are going to turn into? What do you think people are chasing? What comes out of SEC Media Days for you, hopefully or possibly next week?
Well, I think Brian Kelly is going to certainly be center stage. He's certainly one of the best-known SEC coaches. He may be the best known in many ways. And what he does, other than Kirby Smart, what he does, how he handles the podium next week, I think he'll handle it very well because he's a smart coach. But the questions are going to be once you get over there, is it CFP or bust? The same questions you hear on the ESPN shows about DeBoer. I think Brent Venables needs a good week because he is definitely in harm's way. I think there's just a lot of the predictable stories, but I think those are 3 that will be mentioned early. And by the way, I think Hugh Freeze would have been a secondary story until all this. Now I think he's a primary story.
Finally, Paul, next week, Texas comes in as kind of the favorite. I'm not sure. There's a lot of people pushing back on that right now. Georgia's in the mix. Of course, Bama's in the mix. But one guy that's had a remarkably quiet offseason, weirdly so, but is telling people behind the scenes that he thinks they're going to be excellent is Brian Kelly. And I don't feel like we've heard anything from him. But how would you sum up to this point how LSU's offseason's gone?
It's gone wonderfully. And when I saw him, Greg, in Destin, I don't know, 5-6 weeks ago, he was oozing with confidence. And I really think he knows that's the only thing he can do right now. He can't play this second-rate game that Hugh Freeze is playing. It won't work. I mean, his fans are a little bit different. I mean, they are used to winning national championships down there. They expect it. Even though overall the program has been all over the place. So he's told everybody the truth. He's got the best roster. The problem is he's got the toughest opening game, and he's got the toughest September. I think he'll survive September, but that is a very tricky schedule when you consider what he has to deal with before 5 weeks of the season are over with.
Absolutely. Paul, great stuff. Thanks for hopping on. Look forward to seeing you in Atlanta.
Can't wait. Thank you, guys.
Paul Finebaum with ESPN, the SEC Network. Can hear him right here, 2 to 6 p.m. weekdays on Jox. Appreciate him hopping in. Thanks to our friends at Crane Works on the Higginbotham Hotline. We'll follow up at SEC Media Days. We'll get to some of that today, get to some of our expectations, what we want to hear, what we want to learn. And we got to talk Alabama recruiting. We'll focus in on a little bit of that right after this. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kulik in the morning, Monday, July 7th, right here on Jox. Listen online, joxfm.com. Watch live on YouTube every morning. Just search Jox945. Some easy ways for you to tune in. You can always do it that way. Did you watch the Nathan's hot dog eating contest?
We did.
Because you've said before, you get into this.
It's a family tradition.
I do too. I felt like it was odd how late it was this year. I don't know if you noticed that. And maybe it was or wasn't. I feel like it was a lot later this year than it normally is because I was concerned with what our plans were that we weren't going to be able to watch it. And then we got home.
It's always noon Eastern, is it not?
No, I feel like it was a lot later this year. I don't know. And maybe I watched the replay and it just said live. I'm not real sure, but I feel like it was live. But yeah, we tuned in. It was good to have Chestnut back.
I mean, how about them putting the over under at 71.5 and he goes at 71 or 70.5 or whatever it ended up being.
So 17th hot dog eating contest title for Joey Chestnut. That obviously is the most all time.
Yeah.
He has 11 of the highest single contest totals in event history.
It's insane. And
he's won 17 of the 20 times that he's entered the competition. Now, a lot of people will say, well, Kobayashi wasn't in. Against who? That's what a lot of people would say.
That is fair.
Easy to go but Bama with Joey Jaws there. But nonetheless, he won again in convincing fashion. I mean, it was not even. There was one point I think he had 36, and the closest was like 21.
Yeah, no, he was lapping the field.
Goodness, he's just walking away from these people.
Absolutely lapping the field.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was unbelievable. If you, too, maybe consumed too many hot dogs over the weekend, need to lose a little bit of weight, Game Day Men's Health can help you. They want to help you, not just with weight loss, but they do have multiple weight loss plans for you that they want to tell you about. All you got to do is go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now, schedule the free consultation. If you need to get some of the weight off, they have different ways that they can help you with that, whether that's weight loss drugs, whether that's consultations, whether that's just ways to get you onto a different mindset. The peptides they have in stock can help with that as well. A lot of different ways that they want to get the weight off and get you back to living a healthy life. Locker room environment, no charge consultation. You'll get a free testosterone, free PSA test with that as well. Also, minimal upfront cost for the programs that they're going to offer to help you get that weight loss at Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Schedule a free consultation. So back to Alabama recruiting. Looking as dominant as Joey Chestnut is right now over the last couple of weeks. Over the weekend, 5-star safety Jira Edwards commits, 6'2", 210 out of Largo, Maryland. And then 2026 defensive lineman Nolan Wilson, 6'4", 260 out of Picayune, Mississippi commits. Number 3 defensive lineman for 2026. Makes 5 5-stars committed right now for Alabama. I mean, this is, dare I say, Nick Saban-esque for what Kalen DeBoer and his staff are doing right now, Greg. And I don't know if it is being I don't want to say if it's being exaggerated because it's not being exaggerated, but if it's maybe more surprising to people because it's not Nick Saban, if it's because so many people pointed their finger, because there are a lot of people that I have seen that are saying things in our direction to the show or to me personally that I know good and well when you and I sat here and tried to tell people that we felt great about Kalen DeBoer, didn't. And last year didn't during the season. But now it seems all is right for Alabama and Kalen DeBoer and his staff because this recruiting is going completely next level.
Yeah, and I had a bunch of people last week that were random Bama fans in Savannah asking me, like, what do you think of Kalen? I'm like, I love him. I think he's great. I think he's a real dude. I think he's a guy that would sit here and talk X's and O's with you and also be having a beer and would give you his phone number at the end of the day. It's, hey, stay in touch. Let's connect next time you're in town or whatnot. He's just a real guy. And I think recruiting, and let's not get it twisted, I mean, recruiting at the end of the day is still a transactional process now. I mean, yes, does Bama recruit itself? Of course. Are you more likely to get national endorsements playing for Alabama than you are some other places? Yeah, absolutely. That goes without saying. Alabama has arguably the most passionate fan base in the country. I think that all kind of goes into, hey, guess what? You come here, you make X from our place, but the opportunity for upside is there as well. Like the opportunity to be in a Dr. Pepper commercial exists at our place. And I don't think that many schools have that same amount of luxury. Then you take that opportunity, that pedestal that those guys play on, and you take it up a notch when you actually look and meet the guy that you're going to be playing for. You're like, this guy's awesome. Like, what a great guy. Really enjoy being around him. Easy to talk to. Will get the most out of me, but also not rip me to shreds. And I think that there's a delicate balance there. So I think there's a lot to be excited about, because I think the recruits are seeing what you and I have seen in covering Kalen the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I would echo the sentiments about what Kalen is, how he is, who he is. He always comes across as the exact same person. I can think back to the luncheon for the Alamo Bowl when I was fortunate enough to sit next to him, because that's kind of what kicked off our relationship. And I mean, it was an hour and a half event, and every time someone wasn't speaking, he and I were just talking about football.
Yeah.
Because I had so many questions about his offense and how it had gotten to where it was, and certain plays and certain players and how they did things against certain looks. And I think he was interested in talking football for once. And, especially at a bowl game, you're not doing a ton of football related things at bowl games.
Right.
Somebody who comes full circle and is like, oh, you want to know why we throw that route against that coverage, or why we don't run the ball against that look? I would love to tell you that. But every time I've seen him, he's been the exact same person. And I think that consistency goes over well in recruiting, because there's a lot of up and downs in it. There's a lot of things that change, specifically now. And if you can get that consistency from somebody, I think it makes a big difference.
Yep.
And somebody who every time they talk to you feels like they want you to do these things and they're going to do these things for you, it goes a long way. Because whether people are doing it right or wrong, my belief would be that the money is not that different. Now, it might be $50,000 a year different. It might be $150,000 a year different at what some people are describing or not describing. But I think most teams can get it close enough to where a school whose tradition can present itself in a different way, or a coach who presents themselves in a different way, can overcome some of those things. Because I will still stay to this. Not every recruitment is transactional. Not every recruitment out there is just bottom line, dollars and cents, how many zeros are in front of that decimal point. It's not the way it goes for every kid. Now, a lot of them, sure. And I think you can probably look to some certain schools and say that's why that's going that way. But I don't think Alabama would be one of those, because, number one, I don't think Kalen is that kind of guy. But it is impressive what they're doing, and it brings up major concerns with what's happening at Auburn. So you'll hear from Hugh Freeze, you'll hear from John Cohen next, and we'll discuss how concerned we are, or we think you should be, about it right after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning. Staying on the conversation of recruiting, and you can chime in on this, 800-239-9569 gets you on the Higginbotham hotline. You can tweet in at Mac and Cube, which, by the way, Greg Skipworth tweets in, commissary at Redstone Arsenal, 25-30% cheaper. No sales tax. I go once or twice a month. So, yeah, I knew it was significantly less. My grandfather was a guy that had a lease on a vehicle, and when he approached the end of the mileage with a year or around 10 months left on the lease, literally took it to the dealership, parked it, and handed him the keys and said, I will not go 1 mile over your lease. It was the first car he ever leased, and he was like 80-something, and dropped it off and said, I will not pay you a cent more than I have to. And like, we can't take this back right now. And he said, well, then just leave it right there. Here's the keys. I'm done. Made his last couple payments right there, handed him the check, and said, we're out. And my aunt and uncle who lived across the street from him, because my grandmother had some health issues, they're like, well, Sonny, what are you going to do? He's like, I'll walk. So at 80-something, he walked to the grocery store. He walked to the post office. He's like, how many places do I need to go? He's like, I go to the post office. I go to the grocery store. He's like, I don't really get haircuts anymore.
Nope.
Where else do I need to go? I don't need to go anywhere. And so if he needed to go somewhere, by God, he would walk.
Nothing wrong with that.
So that's kind of human you were dealing with then. So that's why I was like, if it's 5% cheaper, he's probably going. 5 cents cheaper, he's probably going.
And it was uphill both ways.
Didn't care.
And it was in the snow.
No, you're talking about a dude who's at Pearl Harbor. So I mean, he
ain't worried about nothing.
Probably felt like he had seen the worst that was coming and had no fear of anything else.
Bring it.
Literally got bombed on an island, dude.
He ain't scared.
We're okay.
Yep.
We'll make it. When we go to this Auburn recruiting, though, Greg, and we're going to listen to Cohen and Freeze on the other side, before we truly get into it, do you feel like there is real room for concern there?
I just think it's too early to really – here's the problem, and we talked about it a little in the break. Whether or not every single one of these guys signs at Alabama is to be determined. It's still a long way to go until December when you're actually signing on the dotted line, when it's actually over. So it's still a long way to go. Are these guys potentially going to change their mind? Perhaps. That could happen, no doubt. Could be other guys that change their mind in favor of Alabama too. That's a good thing as well. But the reality is it's a really, really slow time. And right now, all that you can do is create the buzz around your program that you're looking for. So while it's not anything real right now, it's verbal commitments, but it gives the impression that you're heading in the right direction during a time when things are really, really slow. So, yeah, I think it's bad as far as PR for sure.
Well, and let's be honest, a lot of recruiting is momentum-based. You get one 5-star, all the other 5-stars are thinking, well, hold on, what does he see that I don't? Or I want to play next to that guy. I get to practice against that guy every day. I'm going to be getting a lot better. So it goes hand in hand. We'll discuss more of it, and is there real concern for Auburn next? Hour number 2 underway. McElroy and Cubic in the morning, 8 a.m. Monday, July 7th. Jox 94.5. Justin Pace tweeting in. I'm Mac and Cube. You want to be a part of the show? Tweet in there. How much do you guys think Saban is still involved with recruits? Isn't that a huge factor also? I'd be lying to you if I told you I had any idea. I don't.
I don't think that's a factor.
I mean, how many kids are committing to a place because of a guy who's not going to be there and be around? Like, you could take the best. If that's like saying, how much do you think Patrick Mahomes has to do with Texas Tech's new recruiting success? Which they signed a guy over the weekend whose deal allegedly has been released for $5.1 million.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't, even if it's every day, you're not playing for the guy. He's not going to be there. He's not going to be talking to you. He's not coaching you. If you're influenced by that, then I would say, I don't know if that's a you problem or a yay you. Either one.
Well, I can tell you why it helps, because Nick Saban won a lot of games and put into the brain of a bunch of guys at Alabama, you win, you go win a championship, you go to the NFL. So, yeah, his influence is felt, but that's because of what was done over the course of the last 2 decades. And the proof of concept that this place produces, quote, legends, where legends are made. Like, that is a really good tagline. It's a really good use. So, yeah, it's useful. But if you think a conversation that Nick Saban's having with a recruit is influencing a recruit's decision, I don't see it.
All right, let's go back to the Auburn side of things. Higginbotham Hotline is where we're going to go now. Justin Hokanson is going to join us there. He covers Auburn for Auburn Live and On3 Sports Network. @_J Hokanson, can follow him on Twitter. Hoke, it was a little bit different when you saw some of the words that were coming from Hugh Freeze and John Cohen last week, as opposed to when you heard what they were saying. You heard them first. What was your immediate takeaway when you heard how they were discussing the current landscape of recruiting, and then how that affected what they are doing in the current landscape of recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I kind of was aware of their approach. You know, last week was the first time we got to be face to face with Freeze and Cohen lately, and specifically ask them kind of in the middle of Auburn's recruiting struggles. I was just struck by probably Cohen's competence and kind of how John Cohen came across, sort of answering the question of, do you guys feel confident in your approach and what you're doing from an administration standpoint, and how you're approaching this and how you're interpreting the House settlement? I was probably most struck by that. He seemed, he was kind of almost smiling and smirking when he was answering the question. He just seemed really, really confident about how they're doing things and how they're approaching things when it comes to rev share and NIL and what to offer kids, and not overextending or overpromising themselves right now. And Freeze seemed more, Freeze is a little bit more frustrated, which I get. He's the head coach, and they need talent. And it sort of felt like he was saying, I'm going to trust in my administration. I'm going to trust the lawyers and everybody that interprets all of that stuff. And I'm going to trust their sort of approach to this. And this is kind of on them. Like, if you're a coach, you're going to want to go out and get every kid and be as aggressive as you can. And I think he was kind of taking a little bit of a back seat, saying he's going to trust the administration. But Cohen just seemed really, really confident in what they're trying to do. We'll see how it works out. Having spoken to some people over the last few weeks, there's a lot of details and a lot of nuance, and we could spend 30 minutes talking about it. I think there is some reasoning and some logic to how Auburn's approaching things. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the best way to do it. So I don't think they're crazy in kind of what they're doing and trying to wait into August until the landscape's a little clearer. But they're confident. They seem to be confident and comfortable in kind of how they're approaching it. So for whatever that's worth right now.
But how much of it has to do with the fact that they have a lot of money tied up on this current roster? A lot. Top 5 in the country, I've been told. And that's been loosely confirmed. And
that's referencing financial?
Financial. This payroll is within the top 5 of the country is what I've been told, which is pretty amazing, by the way. especially considering the lack of success that they've had up to this point. How much it has to do with the fact that, hey, right now we're just a little stretched, but hopefully things will kind of iron itself out, and they're really focusing more on roster retention than they are on future recruiting. Is that something that I think is fair to kind of point to at this point?
Yeah, I would say it's fair to say their approach is very, very much roster retention, and then kind of go from there. I mean, that's fair to say. I think it's fair to say they're trying to play the long game for whatever that's worth. And yeah, I mean, the gist of their approach is after August 1, written offers will go out. So whatever schools are promising right now, schools are going, we're going to give you X in rev share, and we're going to give you X in NIL. That's all verbal right now. Once August hits, you can put that in writing. Their viewpoint is, let's wait till schools actually have to put in writing what they're saying with their mouth. We think we'll have a much clearer view of what schools are actually willing to offer. And then let's make firm offers in August. Let's not sort of compete against ourselves in June and July and make these promises before then. They very much seem to be on an island with that, because you look at the recruiting rankings and it's all the usual suspects. That's kind of my biggest disconnect is, and I even asked somebody at Auburn, I said, hey, I hear everything you're saying and it sounds, there's logic to what you're saying. I go, but then I look at the recruiting rankings and man, it looks like all the same schools minus you. So, and they're like, I get it. They're like, we get it. There's not really a good answer to that other than we'll just see how it plays out. But their viewpoint is just wait till after August, September, October, in these months when you know what schools are willing to put on paper, and then you can come back and you can match an offer or you can structure an offer that matches it. But they just don't want to really get into the promising the NIL game is really the thing. Auburn's telling rev share numbers. What they're not doing is promising NIL, and most other schools are either promising NIL or they're saying we're going to help you find X in NIL. Auburn's basically not giving a number for that. And so basically every offer when it comes to these big-time kids over the last 6 weeks or so, every offer doesn't look like everybody else's because they're not giving a specific NIL number, so it doesn't look as enticing.
What are you hearing from, I guess, neutral sources or non-Auburn sources on some of these differences financially that are being thrown out, that are being offered to some of these kids?
In what way?
Well, we hear Freeze reference that the money's very different and that Auburn's on the low end of what some of these offers are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That definitely caught some people's eye. I think that answer was more referring to kind of what I just talked about, the rev share NIL sort of aspect of it. That wasn't really an under the table. That wasn't like a reference to under the table. That was more a reference to what teams are proposing in terms of like a total contract value. Some schools are going to these kids and going, we're going to give you a total contract value of $200,000 in rev share and $200,000 in NIL, whatever it is. And Auburn's going to these kids going, we're going to give you something, $200,000 in rev share, but we're not going to promise anything NIL. Here's what your position made last year. You could make this, but we're not going to guarantee you anything. We're not going to promise you anything right now. So every time that happens, their offer is going to look low. And so I think that's what he's referring to is just what they're sort of how they're approaching it and proposing it to players. Their offers are going to look low. They're going to look lower than some of these other schools. And the other side of that is he surprised at how high other schools are going? Could be. I mean, that could definitely be part of his answer. Was number one, he's surprised that they're low, but that's partly the approach. I mean, maybe he's surprised that other schools are not approaching it the way they are, and so he's surprised that they're so much lower. I don't think it's a money problem per se. Like Auburn's going to have their full allotment of rev share, the same as every other SEC school. I mean, they're going to devote the massive majority of that $18 million to football. Like they'll have plenty there, and they'll have NIL money. I mean, Auburn didn't recruit 2 top 10 classes because they don't have money. So it's not a thing of Auburn not having money. It's more of how they're approaching it right now.
What do you think is their message right now outside of the money? Like just remove money, remove salary, remove all that from the equation, because we know that plays a part, but obviously it doesn't play an exclusive part. So, like, what do you think is their message? Like, hey, come here and be a part of the change. Like, what do you think they're selling right now to recruits?
I mean, right now that's still the message because you don't have wins. I mean, you don't have anything to brag about. You haven't been there long enough to put players in the NFL, really. You could certainly point to a few guys on the roster that you're about to put. You could claim Falk and Connor Lew and Cam Coleman. You could say, hey, we're about to start putting guys in the league, but that hasn't really happened yet. So you don't have a track record of NFL development yet while you're at Auburn, and you don't have the wins. So, yeah, you're still very much in the stage of help us get back to, this championship standard. And you can certainly point to talent on the roster. You could go point to a kid and say, look, we got 2 top 10 classes. Like, we're getting talent in. You're going to come into a talented team, and we're getting this thing right. But, yeah, it's still very much a lot of hype. And trying to sort of build towards the future and try to build some relationships and come be a part of something. But I don't know. I'm still just skeptical and cynical about. I know some people have tossed out there that, relationships still matter in recruiting. Yes, but man, it's hard to get around how transactional it is now. I mean, it's just how much are you going to pay me and when do I get it? And so I don't know. We can sell all that stuff. I think development in the NFL is probably, is obviously still a huge part, but past development and past what's my offer, I don't know what else we're talking about at this point. I mean, that's why I think there's not as much panic inside Auburn's building either, is because it's so transactional that if they come back in the middle of August to a player that really liked them, that was in their top 2 or something, and they go, hey, all right, we're good. Here's your offer. It's rev share. It's this and this. Easily a kid could go, that sounds great, I'll do that, I'll come back to you. Like, I think they think it's so transactional that they can come back, and once they do make some firm offers or put some stuff out there, that they can get kids back on board. I mean, they very much believe it's how much do you want, when do you want it? Those are my questions, and if they can answer those, they can still have a good class.
Where are you on the perception side of this, though, Justin? Let's say everything you just stated there, from the transactional portion of recruiting, the relationships that they have, are accurate, and some of this does bounce back, but the perception that it brings of where the recruiting is. And we had the conversation last week about the golfing stuff, and it's like Greg kind of shot it down with a lot of good reasons. I didn't have as much of a problem with it as a lot of people did, but you also know where the perception of things is right now. And then there's another photograph from this past weekend. Is there just no understanding of it? Is there just a lack of care of it? Or does it not really matter? And maybe we just think it matters.
I didn't see the picture this weekend. Is it what was the picture?
It wasn't. So it was a picture that he posted on May 19th of him holding a trophy, tweeting a celebration, and Lane Kiffin responded to it this weekend. So it came full circle timing wise. But it's optically, it's tough, but like it also is Lane being Lane. So I didn't think too much about it, but your thoughts?
Yeah. So okay, I know what you're talking about. The golf stuff, and I saw Golf Digest picked it up. I'm like, well, what are we doing? I don't know. I mean, it's literally, if they're winning, nobody cares, and it's a story because they're not. I mean, it's that simple. Like it's really, it's not a big deal if they're winning. Now I will say, perception does matter. Number one, fans aren't happy with what they're watching. I know people in administration, like, I don't think John Cohen, he cares. I mean, John Cohen's out there playing with him sometimes. Like, so I don't know how much he cares. He thinks Hugh Freeze is a hard worker when it comes to recruiting. They probably don't love it, the optics of it. I mean, they probably care more about the optics than actually him playing. But I can tell you that there are boosters, there are people that are involved that give money that don't love it. It's not like that's the end all be all, but they look at the win-loss and then they look at the amount of golf, and it's not, they don't love it. You know what I mean? So it matters. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a huge deal. All that stuff coming out and the amount of golf he plays, but it's not great when you're losing. A lot of people are just like, just stop logging your scores. And that's part of it. But the people that matter, the money people, they would still be well aware of how much he plays. So I don't know. It's kind of a non-issue, but the optics kind of matter too. And if you have people that give money that think that you should be doing more and they think you're playing too much golf and we're not winning, it's going to bother them. So it does matter to those people, which matters in the long run. So I don't know. I kind of come down on both sides of it saying, what are we talking about? But also there are people that are not happy with it, and that could affect things, you know?
I'm with you on winning solves everything. And I think with a good start, all that goes away. With a questionable start, it becomes a much bigger story and it becomes much louder. If you had to describe where Auburn recruiting is right now, everything that we've discussed, whether the financial aspects of NIL or rev share, what other schools are doing, what happens August 1st, all of that aside, how would you describe just where it all is right now? The relationships with recruits, the possibility to go get other kids, the potential to make this a positive class. How would you describe it today?
Cool. I would say I very much think that they can still have a really good recruiting class. I mean, I think they could probably still land a top 15 recruiting class. I would also say they're behind the eight ball, and it's going to be a lot harder to do because of their approach. But I do still think it's possible. I mean, they've only got 6 commits. Imagine if you start landing some high-profile kids, and you'll skyrocket up the rankings. I think it puts more pressure on the season because you don't have them in the boat. If you had them in the boat and you started 3-3, you could walk them through those struggles. You could go, let's stay with us, hang in there. Well, now they're not in the boat, and so if you start poorly and they're not even in the boat, good luck getting them in the boat. If you're just floundering and rumors start happening about Freeze's coaching, the hot seat and all that stuff. So I think it puts a lot more pressure on the first 2 months of the season, but it's still possible. I mean, the money I think will be there. I think they'll have an opportunity to land kids. It just becomes a lot more difficult. So, we've sort of told our people, like, would you be panicking? No, I wouldn't panic right now. It's not panic, but I think it's very fair to be concerned. I mean, I talked to somebody last night that's involved on the collective side that's concerned. He's like, I don't know if this is the right strategy. And so we'll see. They're hopeful, but there's definitely some uncertainty about what Auburn's doing in their approach. So I think Auburn can still make some big strides and land a really good class, but the pressure on winning early is going to be there. Like, you can't lose to Baylor and OU and A&M. Like, you cannot be 2-3 with Georgia coming to town. That you got to get one of those. So I just think there's more pressure on winning this way, and there's just going to be more work to do to try to catch up because you've put yourself behind. But I do think it's still possible for Auburn to have a really good class. Like, it's not completely done yet by any means.
Justin, great stuff, man. Thanks for hopping on. You always give great insights. You always have your finger on the pulse of what's going on, and we appreciate the time today. We'll do it again soon. We'll see you in Atlanta next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
There you go. Justin Hokanson covers Auburn for the On3 Sports Network. Some interesting conversation back and forth either way. There are a lot of people that are going to see it one way, and other people are going to see it a different way. There's a lot of gray area in this whole Auburn recruiting discussion right now. Can it get hot again? Like Justin said, sure. Is it disappointing because it's not as hot as some of the other recruiting right now, especially in state? Yeah, that's a part of the problem. One thing that we do know is the Alabama hot is different than everywhere else. That heat and humidity can be brutal. Don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Train cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jox. Find a comfort specialist near you at Train.com. It's hard to stop a Train. So we'll get your feedback on it. 800-239-9569. 800-239-WJOX. Are you concerned with what's happening with Auburn recruiting right now? Should it be a big concern right now? Text in 205-834-9450. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. We'll try to give you our perspectives on this story next. Mac and Cube in the morning. some of this much ado about nothing. Some of this maybe legitimate. The level of concern, Greg, with all of this, I want to have a discussion about where it should be and what it should be, but I'll take you back to middle of last week at an ambush event at Lake Martin. Ambush where the Auburn coaches kind of go and rally the troops, so to speak, talk to different people and say different things. As I mentioned, you can be a part of this conversation, 800-239-9569. You can text into the show, 205-834-9450. Hugh Freeze and John Cohen both spoke, and Freeze was asked just sort of about the landscape of recruiting, what they've done before, and how things are operating now.
You're sitting here trying to sign a class when you really don't know what your current roster will be in January. And so that's a challenge, but you have to operate within the manner of what the settlement really says and the interpretation that we've received, and that's what we're doing. And you know, we're talking about a staff that's put together 2 top 10 classes, and here we are. You know, we're really not in that realm right now. Do I think we will be in December? I do. I believe that wholeheartedly.
So he believes that they'll be there. He's had successful recruiting classes before, and you can understand some of the confidence because he has done that. And let's be honest, the calendar's very different now.
Yeah.
And things are changing at a very different rate. As John Cohen points out, things are going to be very different on August the 1st. Apparently thinks that's a massive day, and a lot of people might not understand what that day is, but that's when the transactions can then be on paper with NIL deals in the future. So it's not, Greg University telling recruit Cole, hey, we're going to have $150,000 a month for you. All you got to do is sign here. That's going to be on paper then. It'll be contractual, and then obviously that becomes very different. John Cohen, Auburn athletic director, discussing the new landscape and kind of what it brings.
We feel like August 1's a big day coming up. And we're also operating, as you guys have been discussing, in a brand new landscape. There's some real things that are about to take place. There's some really new things on the horizon that have never happened before. And I'm here to tell you, we're going to do this the right way. We're going to do it just like Coach Freeze just mentioned. We're going to be honest, we're going to be forthright, and we're looking very much forward to August the 1st and dates beyond.
So that day could change things, Greg, and may change things. But
yeah,
we don't know the total impact of how different things are going to be or not going to be once that day hits.
No, you don't. But I think there's reason to believe with where we're at right now, there are front runners and there are people that are trying to, I think it's a little bit like a horse race right now. Recruiting's unique because of how the calendar is shifted and how things have gotten so accelerated with offers going out to guys in the 9th grade that are not even committable. Some of the offers I'm sure that are out there right now for some schools are not committable. I'm not saying the SC would fall in line with this. I'm just using them as an example. They have 30 recruits right now that are signed up to go play at SC. Like I said, this is not me incriminating them whatsoever. Just using them as an example because they have an unusually large class for nowadays. But if fast forward to December and they have 7 transfers that want to play at SC, not all 30 of those guys that are currently committed, not all 30 of those guys might have a spot. So then things become kind of weird and then all of a sudden guys will be decommitting and it just kind of gets really crazy there for a little bit. So recruiting is just different. And I think that there are some coaches that really want to get out in front of it so that they can start working, for example, this year on the 27 class. So they really want to lock everything up right now. So they're not worrying about it in December. December can be about, they can be about the transfer portal if they want to add any, and then they can start working on their next class. I think some coaches are like, you know what? Right now, we think that there's going to be teams that aren't going to have spots for some of the guys that have changed. We're going to maybe have a great fall. Maybe things will look a little, we like our team this year a lot. Let's go after guys in December and press hard in December when it's right there at the finish line, like a late close in a horse race. So I just think that everyone's philosophy is a little different. And it's not like this is some recruiting schedule and calendar that's been around forever. The challenges of this recruiting cycle are different than any other in their history. I'm not saying that's what Hugh Freeze is doing. I'm not saying that That's what he should be doing. I don't really know because we don't have proof of concept yet in this generation. In this post-house settlement world, we don't know what works just yet. So there's going to be processes of trial and error, and maybe this will be a tremendous failure. Maybe it'll be a tremendous success. We don't know yet. We just don't know. We're too far away from the finish line.
Yeah,
But in the court of public opinion, like we've talked about, tell me, I think the optics are bad. The optics do not look good because right now we're not talking about Auburn's receiver room. We're talking about Auburn's recruiting class. We're not talking about Alabama's defensive line. We're talking about their momentum on the recruiting trail. It's a quiet time where we're not talking about XO as much as we will be in a month or two. So if they pick up 4 or 5 stars in October, what are we talking about? The game the week before and the game that's upcoming. We're not talking about recruiting.
Right.
So I think from an optic standpoint, you'd be better suited to have a lot of momentum in the summer.
Well, it's you just wonder if it was a different head coach and almost even a different university, if the perception would be different. But then I do think that some of the other things that are being done optically, as we discussed with Justin Hokanson, are making it easier to say and point the finger at some things that are also happening, albeit the golf and things of that nature. And even John Cohen openly discussing of where they thought things were going to be, where they think they think things are now, where they think things are going, maybe comes across as a little bit more excuse making. That's unfortunately for Auburn and some of the people there where the perception is with a lot of folks right now. It just is. Dave in Hoover wants to chime in on Auburn recruiting. He is on the Higginbotham hotline. Dave, welcome in.
Hey, guys. So when does fall practice start? What's the first day?
Gosh, it's like July 29th or 30th.
Right. So, I mean, when they're on the field practice and all this stuff, things get a little bit tougher. I'm not saying they're not recruiting, but I think where Auburn's missing the picture and hearing the athletic director, the GM, or whoever they got that's making those whatever his name is, you think Kirby, not every athlete coming in is going to require a lot of money. I think you got to sell your value prop. I'm a recruiter by trade in the financial services industry. We have people that are up-and-comers that come in because of the value prop, and we got big producers that come in and they get paid. But you got to sell your organization. Let's face it, they're not a school anymore, they're an organization. They put people in the NFL. That's Kirby, and that's going to be Kevin DeBoer's mantra is, look, we put people in the NFL. So I think there's a lot of players that come in that want to get developed, want to work hard, and a lot of them really don't need a lot of money. They'll take minimum money. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that every recruit out of Georgia's 23 or 24 recruits, every one of them are getting big money. Or some of them are not getting money at all. But I think Hugh Freeze is going to struggle. If he doesn't get up into the teens when fall practice starts, I think it's going to be even worse.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Dave, we don't know. We don't know exactly what people are promising. We don't know exactly what guys are going to get. And we don't know how much that's going to change on August the 1st. It might completely flip upside down. And I think the other part that people are discussing is if people are doing things wrong, and you've said this for a long time, Greg, just say who it is. If it's that wrong and it's affecting you that much, say who it is. So Hugh Freeze discussing just kind of how it's hard to feel great right now, but also what he hopes happen to some of the people that might not be doing things the right way.
I mean, it's hard to feel great when you're not one of the top ranked recruiting classes, and I think Auburn should be. But I'm confident in our administration and the way that they lead, and trust them immensely that we're doing things the right way. And at the end of the day, that's really what we have to do, in my opinion, is we can't put ourselves in jeopardy of We've got great interpretations from our administration and our legal team on what the settlement really means and how we should operate, and that's what we're doing. And if others are operating in a manner not with that, I'm hopeful that they'll be called out on that at some point. But it does seem kind of strange that we're like some of the lowest range of numbers. I mean, we're like really, really low compared to some, and I'm trying to figure that out, but I do think it'll shake out in the long run.
Okay, so this is one of the things, Greg, that I think people read and got really upset with, and really frustrated with. And then when you hear it, I'm not saying that you cannot be frustrated with it or maybe even shouldn't be frustrated with it. I would understand it, but I don't think it sounds near as flammable, so to speak, when you hear it as it does when you read it. When you read those words, number one, anything that you read, you put your own context on. We're all guilty of this with text messages with our spouses or our friends or people we work with, whatever. Like you read something, you read it in a tone. It's just the reality of it. Somebody says, hey, I'll get to that later. You read that, I'll get to that later. Well, might not be the way they said it. Or I'll be right there. I'll be right there. We're all guilty of that. Now that I don't think sounded exactly the way a lot of people read it. But either way, Greg, once again, the perception of where things are, other things are happening, the way people are viewing all of it right now, that's going to come across as excuse making and in a very negative light.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate. Not saying they're wrong, but oftentimes it's a little lost in translation when being taken from audio and transcribed into press. It just does. And we've all fallen victim to that. In the context, I've gotten calls a million times from different SIDs that are like, oh, why'd you say this? And then I'm like, listen to it. He goes, okay, you're right. It wasn't bad. But if you actually take the words and put them on paper, you don't listen to the tone, it doesn't always tell the whole story. But I do think that if this wasn't a bit of a trend over the course of the last 3 years, it'd be a little bit different. But
well, also, if Auburn's class finished 25th last year, we're probably not having this conversation. They had what, top 5, top 10 class last year? We don't follow as closely as a lot of people do. It was a very good class last year and the previous year. No one can argue that there has been a massive dip. That's also a problem.
Right.
So if that weren't the case and this was sort of par for the course, no pun intended, then I don't think people are talking about it.
But maybe it's also part of the fact that they don't have the room that other people do. They have a young roster in their eyes. A lot of the guys that will be playing pivotal roles this year will be back next year. So their focus is on roster retention.
And if you know you're going to hit the portal for some of those guys, you're not going to sign 25 high school kids.
Correct. Like, I think it's all circumstantial. That's why I would not panic. I can understand why it would be frustrating. That's fine. We're good there. We can be on the same page with how frustrating this is to see your two biggest rivals be in the top 5 of the recruiting class rankings. And there you are hovering around 80. But what you can also look at potentially is that maybe those two rivals are going to have a bunch of guys that are now leaving the program after this year, and then they're going to be backfilling with pieces in this recruiting class. Everyone's story is a little different right now. Some people need immediate help. Some people are in win now mode. Let's be real. Hugh Freeze didn't win this year. It's going to be really uncomfortable.
No matter what the recruiting is. I mean, and Justin kind of alluded to it.
Exactly.
But
so
let's say the recruiting class is number 3, and as he stated, they start 2 and 3. I don't think people care that much.
No.
Because, hold on, you had 2 great recruiting classes, and you haven't won. Okay, you have another one coming in, but you're not proving that those recruits are going to win games for you. So they're still going to be mad. We've said it about a million things 1,000,001 times. Winning solves everything.
Yes.
Go win this year, this is a non-story. The golf is a non-story. Other things are a non-story. Lane Kiffin's tweets are a non-story. Beat Ole Miss, none of what he tweets matters. This is reality.
Yes.
So,
but also, like, what do you think? You're 100% right in all of that. But also, what if they don't win this year?
All of this is amplified. All of this is magnified
by obviously, like by 1,000,000 times. No,
yes.
I mean it's next level uncomfortable if they don't win this year.
I think Justin, to stop, and I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but Justin made a very good point there in that there are some power brokers that some of that stuff does matter to, and if that's the case, you and I both know what does that lead to. It leads to people starting to have some really uncomfortable conversations at some really uncomfortable times.
Yep. And if they don't win this year,
those conversations are going to start to be had.
Let's just be real. there's a strong possibility if they don't win this year, he's not going to be the head coach next year. That's a possibility.
It's fair.
I'm not saying it should be. I'm not saying it shouldn't be. To me, I don't think he's had enough time, but what do I know? I don't think any coach ever gets enough time anymore. I don't make those decisions because I don't write checks. But maybe if you wanted to take it on another side of the coin, like how about he's just all in right now on this year's team and making sure this year's team goes and wins? Because if they win this year, then they got next crop, another year of guys coming up, another year of those hot recruiting classes that are another year developed. We're going to keep all those guys and we're going to be able to build on what we already did this year. Let's say we win 9 this year. And then next year, that's the year we have circled. Jackson's, he'll be a fourth-year junior at that time, second-year starter in our system. We have Cam Coleman, who's going to his 3rd year. You got Perry's going to his 3rd year. You got Riddick, who's going into his 3rd year. Like, you'll have all these guys that are going into, like, their 3rd, 4th year, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, hang on a second. We could actually go from being, a sleeper team in the SEC to one of the SEC favorites if we could just win this year. And then people are going to maybe want to join us in the recruiting trail because they want to go chase some big opportunities. Like, that's the other side of the coin.
It's also and fair and potentially very real. But I think some people are comparing this to Kirby Smart or Kalen DeBoer.
Stop comparing yourself
to
Alabama and Georgia.
Okay,
You're not the same program.
To take a statement from Kirby Smart, I will compare, and I'll steal this from him.
Right.
Nobody cares.
Exactly. You're not the same program right now.
But nobody cares. Nobody cares about August 1st. Nobody cares about what Jackson Arnold did in high school. Nobody cares about what Cam Coleman's doing in practice. Nobody cares. No one cares. Go win games. And the reality is you haven't won a lot of games. So people, you are low-hanging fruit for people to be able to find things to make fun of or to have issue with. That's the reality. Unfortunately, it is. No one cares. No one cares what other people are doing. No one cares how other people are doing it. Get it done. Now, you bring across to the table maybe the most sensical aspect of where things may be, and that's hard for a lot of fans to see. That's hard for a lot of fans to see it that way. But there's a part of what you stated that I also think is very dangerous, and we'll discuss that on the other side next. Mac and Cube in the morning. Greg McElroy brought some sense to the Auburn discussion. We'll heed a little warning to that, potentially, maybe, as we continue here on the show. 800-239-9569. You'd like to chime in on the Higginbotham hotline, you can do that. Countdown to SEC Media Days. That will be next week. We will be live on site right here on Jox all week, bringing you coverage, guests, and interviews from SEC Media Days. We'll talk more Alabama recruiting, Auburn recruiting, as well as a couple of other schools that are really surprising along the recruiting trail here in just a moment. Don't forget, you can listen online, joxfm.com. In your app store, you just download that and you can listen. You can point you where to watch on YouTube. Go get the podcast. And also tell your home smart speaker to just enable the Jox skill, and you can always listen that way.
Bill Smith Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year. They are the destination for Alabama's largest discounts and their best service. Thank you to all the wonderful people of Alabama for making them number one again. You also have the used car supercenter that you can go and check out. Whatever your budget may be, they have a solution for you, but you can go and get a Buick Encore. It's a 2026 Encore GX, which is the Sport Touring Edition. Nice vehicle. $29,985 is the list price. You can get it for under $25,000, $24,985, $5,000 off a 2026 model year Encore GX. Deals like that keep coming back. That's why 75% of their business is repeat customers. That's because you've had a better experience when you shop at Bill Smith. Take the short drive to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online. Have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
All right, so I liked your approach that you just took a few moments ago about kind of where this is and what this could be, things of that nature, and maybe being a little all in on this year's team, knowing what that would bring in next year's team. I think there's a lot of accuracy in that. But how dangerous is it, Greg, to be all in on this year's team with some legitimate unknowns, a quarterback who needs to be reset, a team that's still, as you stated earlier, which is actually very beneficial in some of these discussions, extremely young, but at the same time, that means you're going to lack some experience. You might lack some leadership. You're going to lack some wherewithal. Mistakes are going to take place a little bit more often. And then if that's the case, some of the things happening away from the facility would then become even more concerning, because if you're all in on this year's team, yet the focus doesn't all appear to be there, that could become problematic.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be a challenge for sure. But I like this year's team. Like, are there unknowns? Of course. But you're rolling the dice on talent, right? I mean, you can roll the dice on talent. Now, talent does not always equal success. I think people have a hard time. Oh, this guy's super talented. A guy can be super talented and can't play. Like, running fast, jumping high is awesome. Doesn't necessarily mean he's a great football player. I don't know why that is, but it's just the way things are. If it were all about talent and speed and skill and all this other stuff, it would be about, you'd just go recruit off the track. Go to the Olympics, recruit off the track. This guy's going to be your receiver. This guy's going to be your corner, and let's call it a day. But it's just not that. There's a lot of things, but they have guys with a lot of upside. It's just, can they gel? Can they do the things that they wanted to do last year and not make the pivotal mistakes? You know, I think all of those are the big keys. Is last year was about the unluckiest team you could ever ask for. Now, I hate using the term luck, but everything that could go wrong in critical moments did. So those things don't often happen again. So fingers crossed for Auburn and Auburn fans that won't happen again this year, because last year was tough to watch in many ways because of how big the mistakes were at inopportune times, but efficiency numbers were really good at times as well on offense and defense.
Yeah. It's I say there's no luck in football. There was some, I guess, negative fortune, bad fortune, but a lot of those we pointed to certain coaching situations.
Yeah.
And in certain execution situations where may have been on player, may have been on coach, may have been on lack of awareness from one side, the other, both. Either way, if those are potential issues, like I had a long conversation on my podcast with Roman Harper yesterday, and he's like, Auburn's just got to take care of the football. He said, and they got to take care of the football at critical times, which I think is essentially what you're saying in a little bit of a different way.
Yeah.
But you have to go make that happen.
Sure.
It doesn't just happen. You don't magically say, oh, insert new player, the BS goes away.
Right.
Like, you coach that out of guys, and you coach the positive fortune into guys. And that comes with confidence. That comes with awareness. That comes with understanding. And with a lot of what's still new on that roster, that's going to have to be coached in and coached out.
Well, but it also can come from a few different areas. Like 4th and 1 at Georgia, you have a busted play. Like you have a play that can't be run. Now, what was that play? Not sure anybody knows still. But it's a critical 4th and 1, beginning of the fourth quarter. You're down 7. It's a one-score game. I mean, you are on the move around midfield, and you run a play that can't be run. That can't happen. Like, based on numbers in the box, that can't happen. Like, critical moment in the game, wet the bed. Like, in the red zone. You know, it's easy to say, oh, well, Peyton Thorne just threw interceptions last year. That's why they lost games. That was not always the case. There were a couple instances in which, you know, guys would run a terrible route, and that would lead to an interception. Or it was a terrible play call, and it would lead to a sack, it'd be tackle for loss.
How many times do we sit here on Mondays wondering how Jarquez Hunter had 11 carries or 13 carries in a game?
Or maybe, hey, we're just because we know we are at a talent disadvantage against some teams, we have to RPO them to death because we don't have the personnel to run an average play against a superior talent. Like we just need to, like we have to have the perfect play on every single play because we are at a talent disadvantage. How about just trust your guys, you know? And I think that just comes with time and stuff like that too. Sure. So I am not like a huge RPO guy. I don't believe in like the centerpiece of my offense being RPO. I believe in call it and run it and having some physical tone setting plays. Like I don't care if I gain 2, I'm going to bloody your nose. I want to see a little more of that from Auburn this year.
I think a lot of folks would love to see that. Getting back to a little of, you know, call it, run it, so to speak, as you and I reference a lot, which is you're good enough that whatever the play is, you should be able to run it and find something. Now, there are going to be, of course, extreme disadvantages from numbers and alignments that it's just not going to work for anybody, but you would like to see a little bit more of that being able to happen. We'll finish that discussion next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning, 8:54, Monday, July 7th, right here on Jox 94.5. You can be a part of the show at Mac and Cube. You can tweet in that way. You can also text the show, 205-834-9450. Listen online, joxfm.com. Finishing up the recruiting conversation, a lot of folks are chiming in. Rod tweets into the show. The part I don't understand about the Auburn recruiting approach is so in the middle of August, they're going to go to all these top schools and raid their classes. Everyone's recruiting looks the same except Auburn. Doesn't make sense. I don't know if everyone's does, but.
Yeah, I just think it's, I don't know. I think they're going to be fine. Want to know why? Because they were fine the last 2 years. If the last 2 years were terrible recruiting classes, I can understand your frustration, but it's not like it's been bad the last couple of years, no? Like it's been good. So I guess all of a sudden the guy just forgot how to recruit. Is that how that works? Like, I don't think that's a real thing.
Jolly tweets in at Mac and Q. Based on that conversation, is it even on Hugh Freeze? Sounds like a money structuring situation in offering players. That don't sound like a coaching recruiting issue. Did I hear that wrong? I think that's partially why he is voicing frustrations, is that structurally there may be other schools, Greg, that are doing it a different way. And he wants to know why. I would love to know what the offset is when he says, hey, like the money that we are offering apparently is this much different, that much different than so many others. Like, why is that the case? I don't know. I don't know how different it is. Is it $20,000 a month, $20,000 a year, $200,000 a year, $1 million a year? I don't know what the offset is of that. So it's kind of hard to say. But John Cohen saying we're going to do things the right way. AC's dad tweets in, says it strains credibility that the recruiting powerhouses are promising money that they don't have. Coaching staffs would nuke their credibility for the future if they did that. This whole, quote, right way thing seems unpreparedness and scrambling. Some might view it that way. I don't know. We'll discuss it more next on Jox 94.5. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kubelik in the morning. Going to get to Pete Sampson here in just a moment because Notre Dame is another one of those teams that is just red hot on the recruiting trail. Also, almost history repeats itself. Massive injury news coming down for the Irish as well. We'll discuss those here in just a moment. But first, Craig, tell our listeners about Bromberg's.
Well, Bromberg's been my go-to for quite some time now. I love walking in the store. I love the selection of beautiful jewelry that they have available. I also love the sales staff. I've become friends with several of them, and I've just had a great experience. Every single time I go in, I walk away feeling like I got the best deal. I walk away feeling like I got the prettiest item. And it doesn't really matter what it is, what occasion it is. It might be gifts for a wedding that's coming up. It might be something special for an anniversary. Maybe you're thinking of popping the question. You need to go get that natural diamond, that rare, one-of-a-kind natural diamond that's hard to find and that's hard to get a feel for. I don't know what the heck a good diamond looks like, but I can tell you who does. That's the sales staff at Bromberg's. They can get you the right cut, the right clarity, the right color, all that stuff. It's just amazing to see what they can do for you. That's why it's the only place I would shop if I were in the market for fine jewelry that will hopefully last multiple generations in our family. So go see Bromberg's at Mountain Brook Village and at the Summit.
All right, we got Pete Sampson on the line now, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline to talk Notre Dame. Let's start with recruiting, Pete, because we've been having a lot of recruiting conversations today, how some schools seem to be way ahead of the curve, some schools trying to catch up and maybe much different than they've been the past couple of seasons. This is beginning to look like an all-time Notre Dame recruiting class, like possibly, and I'm not a recruiting expert, one of, if not the best ever. What is the secret here? What is this even a little bit different for Marcus Freeman and his staff that is leading to the success they're having?
I mean, I think the biggest one is what they're selling. They're not selling, hey, you can help us maybe get to the national title. They're putting on the tape of playing in Atlanta, and that is, to me, that's a huge difference because you're not selling the hope of it anymore. You're showing like, hey, you guys come here. We're already really good. Just be a part of that. So to me, that's a big difference. And then I think just like Marcus Freeman is in the last year, I think he's gone from like kind of an up and coming coach to on the cover of the video game and the face of college football a little bit. So those two things together, I think has been a pretty powerful combination for Notre Dame.
Certainly feels that way. What's with Marcus Freeman and landing former NFL players' kids? I mean, it's the most remarkable thing. It's just absurd. Whether it's, it doesn't really matter the position, but it's almost like every former NFL player who has a son that's coming out is strongly considering Notre Dame. Is there something that we don't realize that he's able to connect with?
I mean, I think the way that they sell it is really good because it's, hey, football's going to end and you want to be set up for what comes after. And you would think that would resonate more with guys who like their sons, if their NFL career was maybe 2 or 3 years. But I mean, we're talking Larry Fitzgerald, Jerome Bettis, Plaxico Burress, talking a lot of like 10-year pros. So, I mean, maybe there's part of that is they've seen, guys that didn't have their stuff together and needed to, have a better backup plan. And I think it's resonated with, those guys who are like, hey, maybe I couldn't get into a Notre Dame, or Notre Dame didn't look at me coming out of school or out of high school. So it's that combination of stuff, I think has been pretty powerful. I mean, it's been surprising to see it unfold because it's not just Bettis, Bryant Young, Jim Flanagan, Notre Dame guys. You're getting Michigan State, you're getting Georgia, obviously you're getting Pittsburgh and Larry Fitzgerald too. So it's not just Notre Dame legacy guys.
We've got Pete Sampson on the Higginbotham Hotline, covers Notre Dame football. Greg mentioned some of the NFL kids or kids of former NFL players, 4 stars, 5 stars. What is maybe left on the wish list for Notre Dame in recruiting of either positions, certain guys, maybe targets that are there that you feel like are still realistic in this class?
I mean, there's a 3-star safety that they're interested in, Nick Reddish from North Carolina. But to me, there's the biggest guy by far is Elijah Golden, who's a 4-star defensive lineman from the sort of Sarasota, Tampa area. They feel like they're in great shape with him. It wouldn't surprise me at all by the end of July if both of them are in Notre Dame's class. And at that point, I want to say of their 21 official visitors in the month of June, they would have landed 20 of them, which is ridiculous. So they're on a heater right now. And I really think it's a combination of Marcus Freeman, his personality, and then, the game tape you can put on of Georgia, Penn State, and playing Ohio State in the title game.
As far as some of the young guys that are getting ready to pop, we know the recruiting class is outstanding, top 5 right now with the arrow pointing up. But with the guys that were in last year's recruiting class, which, by the way, this is not a one-year thing. Like, they've been recruiting pretty dang well by Notre Dame standards over the last few years. Is that the Marcus Freeman effect? Is that the staff? I know you referenced last year. It's easy to point to, hey, national championship game appearance. But this was already going on. Is it Marcus Freeman, or is it the place? Is it the NIL? What is it that's leading to this resurgence for Notre Dame on the recruiting trail the last few years?
I mean, it's all the above, and NIL is a big part of it. I think Notre Dame has been much more aggressive in the NIL space at the high school level than I would have expected maybe 2-3 years ago, when they were pretty reluctant to say, hey, do we really want to commit 6 figures to high school kids? We want to pay the guys on the roster now. And I think they've done a good job of roster retention, but I think you go get, Joey O'Brien from Philadelphia, just beat Penn State head to head for a borderline 5-star, Rodney Dunham's a 5-star level defensive end for North Carolina. Like, Marcus Freeman is great. The Notre Dame degree is great, but you gotta make an investment. And I think Notre Dame has been probably more aggressive on that front than I would have thought 2-3 years ago. But I think they've decided, look, this might not be the sandbox we want to be in, but this is the sandbox we're in, so we're going to play. And they've found capital to invest in these guys early.
We're visiting with Pete Sampson, talking Notre Dame football. And unfortunately, Pete, we have to have the conversation with you again about an offensive lineman that is injured before the season begins. Jag Usal is one of Greg and I's favorite players for a lot of different reasons. And Charles broke his arm this weekend in an ATV accident. I'll be honest with you, when I heard it and saw it, I hated it, and I was bummed about it, but I didn't immediately think it would really impact him that much for the season. Do you think it will? How feasible is it that he will miss multiple games because of this?
I think it's likely that he'll miss multiple games. When he's fit to return, kind of, once you go through the rehab process, I mean, he's flying back to South Bend, I think yesterday or today, to sort of get fully evaluated. I wouldn't expect him to be ready to go at Miami. A&M a week and a half later, we'll see. But it's unfortunate, because it's the second time of the year I've been on talking about Charles Jagasa having a season-altering injury before the season starts, and I really feel like he had a chance to play his way into second-round pick this year. Maybe go above and beyond that if he comes back for 4 years, but. Notre Dame has recruited that position incredibly well. Now they're going to have to show that yet again. They did it last year, but they're going to have to find some young talent that's going to be ready and willing to go.
At 6'7", 333, let's get rid of all motor vehicles, please.
Yeah.
I mean,
did you think about was there an XL version of the?
Yeah. How big is this ATV? All right, is it like a GMC Sierra? What are we doing here? I mean, goodness gracious alive.
Yeah. There's definitely, I think, a lesson.
No, big guys shouldn't ride four-wheelers.
Right?
You can, but you shouldn't. My 150-pound receiver in high school broke his collarbone on a four-wheeler. That I can understand. He's 150. He got thrown off. At 333, how the heck does that happen? I don't know, man. It's really disappointing. I hate it, but you did reference the depth at offensive line. With him now being out, and he was slotted to be one of the guards, it seems like he was going to be the right guard. I don't know if that's for sure. But what does that mean for next man up against what should be a really good Miami football team?
I think it will probably be Sullivan Absher, who's going into his junior year. He was working at guard center, even played a little tackle when he showed up. I mean, he was a top recruit. They liked him enough that they told Rocco Spindler, Pat Coogan, Sam Pendleton, who were 3 guys who started last year, you're good. If you want to seek better opportunity, go for it. They all did. So I think you start with Sullivan Absher, Gerby Lambert, more of a tackle. He's incredibly talented, but hasn't played. And it's like, do you want to move Anthony Knapp, your starting left tackle, inside? I don't know if you do. But I would say Sullivan Absher probably is your first bet at guard. And then you have a little competition in camp to see if somebody can come get him.
So now how concerned are you about maybe the offensive line or the depth of it? Because this was supposed to be a massive strength of this football team. Does this maybe put a big question mark on it for you? Does this give you real concern about some of the early opponents in which Jagisaw may be out for?
Yeah, it does, because it's to have Charles Jagasaw protecting the A-gap for C.J. Carr or Kenny Minchey at Miami, like that's a real deal. So that's a concern for me. I think, they will have a very talented offensive line. It should be better than the offensive line that they trotted out against A&M last year, just based on everyone that's coming back, the reps that those guys have gotten together. But we're talking about an NFL guard. You're just plucking them out, and like, as well as Notre Dame has recruited, it's hard to lose NFL players in college, and then just replace them with more NFL players. I think the line should be good. To me, this comes into like, can you just split the first two games so everything is still under your control after A&M? If you can do that, I feel like that's probably a pretty good start to the season for Notre Dame.
You referenced the quarterback. I know it's the $1 million question. I think all of us expect it to be C.J. Carr.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a big surprise if it wasn't, which leads to Minchey being used kind of as a secondary option for mostly quarterback run. How do you anticipate the quarterback situation being used throughout the season?
I think it'll be Carr, and I think that Minchey will have a role. I don't know when that role is going to get trotted out. Do you want to have that at Miami on the road? Probably not. But I think that Minchey is too dynamic of a runner not to figure out some way to use him. But I think Carr is also too dynamic of a passer, and so kind of the quarterback Notre Dame has been waiting on for some time. So I think you got to go down to Miami, let Carr rip it. Maybe there's some gadget stuff for Minchey, but I think it's Carr will win the job, and I think that probably will come in the first 10 to 12 days of training camp.
Pete, the receiver position was really intriguing for Notre Dame last year. I think most people would agree improved. And then maybe some spots some folks thought would be a little stronger or better didn't necessarily live up to that billing. With a new quarterback, how good can that group be around him to be able to offset some of the early growing pains?
I think the receiver group should be a lot better. I mean, running back is what it is. It's arguably the best in the country up there with Penn State. Eli Raridon is a big X factor to me. That's kind of the guy, like, if you can get what you expected out of him the whole time to just come together as a senior. He had a great training camp. Mike Denbrock's told me, like, he's
we lose Pete.
Group.
We lost you there for a moment, Pete. On Denbrock had told you if there's possibility you could pick it up there.
Yeah, Eli Raridon really, I think, has got a chance to be kind of a quintessential classic Notre Dame tight end, and if they can get that to happen, I think the weapons around Carr or Minchey better than what they were around Leonard or around Hartman the year before.
All right, I think we'll give it another go another time. We appreciate Pete joining us there on the Higginbotham hotline. Before we give it a no, Greg, as we move on, if you're looking to move out of your house, who should you call?
That'd be Crocker Movers. There's a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust, complete full background checks, and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys, and you can trust them in your home. That is your whole home packed to move, your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room. These guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you've purchased and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website's crockermovingservices.com. It's crockermovingservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
All right, we'll come back and switch gears a little bit. Something that showed up on social media for me yesterday that we need to discuss, and maybe information that you need to know. What is it? We'll tell you next. Mac and Cube in the morning. So something caught my attention over the weekend that I thought I would share with you because you might need it, actually. It potentially could be helpful, could be useful. I'm going to send this to you, Greg, now, and you can just watch the video and you'll hear the audio of it.
Okay.
Because I shared this with John so we could have the audio. I didn't want to share it with anybody else because I kind of wanted the reaction on air.
Yes.
Before that, you have to wait to see what this is going to be. One thing you never have to wait for is your dental care.
That's because Family Dental has you taken care of at the urgent care office. You can be seen the same day in several locations to make it easy on you. Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, Alabaster, and Trussville. They're accepting patients of all ages. Most insurance plans are accepted, and the routine cleanings now include free teeth whitening. So call Family Dental today. They can see you on Fridays and Saturdays. 874-9605. That's Family Dental. 874-9605.
Greg, you have it now. You can watch it. I shared this from the Mac and Cube Twitter feed. You can go view that there. If you don't have access to it, I apologize. I don't know really how to help you. I'll try to show the video to the folks on YouTube here in just a moment. John, do you remember what the last thing was of the? Oh, I know what. I just remembered what it was.
Yes, we had gorillas versus.
I don't think we did this account for that. It was the brain chip that Elon's making.
Yeah.
This same account did that, and it showed they would drill a quarter-size hole in your skull, and they'll pull it out, and then the microchip goes in, and they hit an electronic wave pulse that hits your brain. And
some people have invested in that, so we're not going to talk bad about it.
I'll talk about it however I want. I don't really care about how much of your money is in it, just like I don't care how much money you still have in Bitcoin. I'll talk about how stupid that is.
No Bitcoin.
So it doesn't matter.
I'm not a believer in Bitcoin.
John, this account makes CGI videos of things.
CGI.
What is that? What is
I don't know.
Computer generated image, right?
It was built on DOS in 97.
Okay.
I mean, it's
a computer. Last time I checked.
The reference may be dated, but the graphics look like it's dated too. So it tracks.
I mean, the alligator is.
No, it doesn't. People don't know
2D.
what it is yet. This is how to escape an alligator death roll.
Yeah.
If an alligator grabs you, it might start a death roll, a terrifying spin meant to dismember prey. To survive, you should try to roll in the same direction as the alligator. If you have a free arm, aim for the alligator's eyes, or try to jab its nostrils. And if all else fails, play dead. Sometimes the alligator will release its grip, giving you a chance to escape.
Sometimes.
Possibly. That goes in with about the percentages of you landing the finger in eye for the actual poke.
And the alligator staying still, deciding that the death roll is done.
Hold on there, guy.
Hang on. This is what Captain Insano does with the bad guy.
And the best part was it starts with your foot, I guess you being basically down.
Yes.
But somehow...
You're napping, John, and he caught you by surprise.
Yes.
Okay, but then how do you turn around? How does your back bend the wrong way for you to turn around and poke him?
Because you entered the death roll.
Yeah, you're both rolling, but okay.
You better roll with him.
Okay.
My favorite part of the entire video is after being mauled for 20 seconds, and then guy lands whatever it is, punch to nostril or eye poke, eye gouge, a la Richard Seymour.
Yes.
He just gets up and runs away. And notice the gentleman says he might let go of you. He also might not.
He also, based on the fact that the human in this video looks a little bit like Gumby.
What is his
shirt? That's got to be the most flexible dude ever.
What does the guy's shirt say? I kind of need to know. Oh, Zach D Films. He's the one that makes these. He goes, he stands. He's like, he's all hurt. And then he goes, eye poke,
yeah, no problem.
And he just gets up and runs away.
Eye poke, punch to the nostril, bounce.
Okay, so, and also, let's not forget, a lot of this could, because we're saying percentages, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Be taking place underwater, which most likely is going to be some sort of a murky lake or swamp area.
Right, yeah.
Where a lot of people
you can
like
just clearly see
stand.
his eye, just eye.
Yeah.
Poke.
Back to the water of a swampy terrain in the southern part of the United States. Probably Savannah is where that's definitely happening.
Hilton Head.
Hilton Head.
Yeah.
I've been told it's the little alligators you need to be worried about.
Really?
Yeah. Because they're the ones that are threatened and fearful. I'm not sure how much damage they could do, but I've been told that those are the ones that you don't need to get close to. The big ones don't care.
I'll just say any gator locks onto your leg, you probably got some problems coming your way.
I feel like that's about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking like, if I hit a ball over there, I'm not going to go Chubbs Peterson that thing.
You can have it.
Like, that ain't happening.
Souvenir, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, your Titleist Pro V11s are probably pretty expensive, so.
Yeah, that's just the prototype of the Pro V1. Yeah,
Yes.
They're $4. I don't feel like I don't feel like risking a phalange.
It's not worth
to
a
go
limb.
get my ball back.
But now that you know how to survive the death roll, no balls will be lost.
That's a fair point. I can weather the storm there. I feel good about it.
If that's the case, will the Gators then have to change death roll? Because if you escape, it ain't a death roll no more.
Who's the golfer that tapped him on the tail and he jumped in the water?
It had to have been Kevin Kisner. I don't even care who it was. It's somebody from Florida and South Georgia or Aiken or somewhere like that. Like that's where it's
I
going
would
down.
guess Louisiana. Does this video lose credibility that it's not done in a Cajun accent?
I did see that tweet amongst the responses. It's definitely the best tweet.
Yeah, it's
It does feel a little CBS newsy.
Yeah. I have seen the alligators in South Georgia, the East Coast of Georgia, Hilton Head, Charleston, and some places, even though that's a little bit more, those are snooty alligators. But Savannah, like in the low country, I've seen those alligators. And frankly, they're not that concerning. If I'm going to be honest with you. They're just not very big.
Okay.
You see those alligators in Louisiana? You ain't getting out of that death roll.
Look how big.
Cody.
Those things are dinosaurs. Those are descendants of dinosaurs. I don't care what anyone says. They have to be 1,000 pounds. It's either like I would rather be caught in the Nile River with an alligator than in Louisiana with an alligator.
Yeah. That's
Cody Gribble was the one that tapped it on the tail and it went in. And much to your delight, he's a Texan.
See?
Well, played golf at Texas. I don't know if he was.
Well,
I don't know where he was born.
Let's
from.
look. Hang on.
Okay.
They're all from Jupiter, Florida, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, right. Okay.
Like every golfer's from Jupiter.
Oh, he's born in Dallas. Oops. Sorry.
That's why he's tough.
Where did he play high school?
The mean streets of Texas, Dallas.
No Texas Gators.
I don't have that in his bio. Where he played high school golf. That's probably where he got his toughness from.
No doubt. At 5'9", 165, he was probably dominating Texas football.
5'10", based on the PGA Tour's website.
Yeah,
It just means he's got speed to get away from it if it turned around and came after him.
Well, you said, like, with the Gators, don't bother the big ones. Maybe the Gator knew how this.
Oh, gosh.
Don't bother the short humans.
He went to Highland Park. Oh, God. That guy, he's never seen a gator.
So he's so rich he doesn't care what happens.
No.
He can just go buy an artificial limb to be put on that probably works robotically or something.
You look like my shoes. Get out of here.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just leave those things be. I don't need it. I don't need it to get off the green enough to go tap it on the tail. But I am glad that I now know how to survive a death roll, specifically underwater.
So you do feel good about
eye
it?
gouge, punch nose.
You do feel good about it?
Yeah, it's just like punch out. It's like body blow, left, body blow, right.
Can you do me a favor?
Eye gouge, nose punch.
Can you
eye gouge?
Can you do me a favor?
Yes.
Like when you get home tonight, just if you have a couple extra minutes, can you do a reenactment as the guy here and like put it on?
His back doesn't bend that way.
Yeah, nor do my legs.
I just want to see.
None of me bends that way.
I want to see. Actually, you know what? Have one of your kids play the alligator.
Have you? But there is a recent video. I think it's maybe in India or something. Some guy jumps into an alligator enclosure and it's got him by the leg, and he's just kind of sitting there, and it drags him around the arena. I'm going to call it an arena because I feel like once you get into their space, you're fight like Mills Lane used to do.
Let's get it on.
Like it's on now. And I feel like if he'd have known this, because he does no eye gouge or no nostril punch at all. Poor guy. If he'd have just seen this video, he'd have been much better off. But it's the acceleration in which he yanks the guy around, which is absolutely terrifying. That it can get you from this spot to 7 feet away in half a second. Just like, yick. and there it goes. And you're like, ooh, that guy just lost his ACL, PCL, Achilles, and patella tendon all at once. And then he's like, yick, the other way. And like, there goes his hip flexor.
Hip flexor.
And he is in bad shape. Like, seeing this guy get up and run away is the most hilarious part. After you've been rolled, mauled, yanked side to side. By the way, being bitten the entire time. And you're just like, oh yeah, he thinks I'm dead. Cool, we're out of here. See ya. But I've also seen people get hit by cars and get up and run away. So maybe it can happen. I don't know. Not in person.
I'll take my chances with a car. I'll take my chances with a car over an alligator.
1,000%.
I mean, I'll roll the dice.
I've seen Kobe jump over a car. I can, I'm sure.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are ways to avoid it.
Unless it's a DeLorean. Then I got no shot. But honestly, I'm trying to think of like the most fearful moment of my life would be an encounter with what animal? And I think like an oversized alligator, like one of those gigantic alligators, might be number one.
Well, but I think it also, I think your description of encounter needs more detail. Are you throwing me in an octagon with one and it's mano-a-mano and only one of us gets out?
Yeah.
Or is it swampland, 6 inches of water, gator has my leg?
Yeah, I don't want the swampland.
Forest with bear.
I want no part of bears.
10 feet away.
Right.
I want no part of a grizzly or a Kodiak bear. No part.
There's a recent video floating around of a bear chasing a car. And that thing's going like 35 miles an hour.
Those things rip.
And I'm like, nah, we're out.
They climb trees. Like, you think you're safe?
What about go back to gorilla? Once again, I think it's circumstantial. If it's me and gorilla and octagon, who walks? That might be towards the top of the list. But you also put me in there with a lion. What do I got?
I think in their own.
Where's my lion video? By the way,
in their habitat in the swamplands, I got no shot. You put me on a golf course, I got a chance.
Would you rather be thrown in with a light cut on your leg with a shark in near your perimeter?
What kind of shark?
Great white. No, bull.
Let's say bull or tiger, I want no part of.
Bull shark within your realm, and you got about 50 yards to get to the land.
Yeah.
Or would you rather be like on an African safari?
How far is the Jeep?
500 yards. And
500?
200 yards. And there's a lion 100 yards away from you, but he sees you.
Male line or female line?
Male. Got to have the mane. Makes it much scarier.
Dark black mane or just standard mane?
Dark black probably says he's old and been around for a while, so we'll go not quite there yet.
That's what I mean. If he's dark black, I feel good about it. Territorial, but probably not going to waste his time on a 220-pound kill.
Like more Scar or Mufasa?
Scar.
Be good dinner. Or forest with bear. Let's just go alligator shark first. You're in the swamp, alligators within 10 feet, and you have 25 yards to go, but you're running in 6 inches of water. Or thrown in the ocean, 25 yards to swim to shore. Tiger shark is somewhere in there and you're bleeding.
Let's just be real. Like, I don't know why we're trying to make a preference here. I'm dead either way.
Yeah, probably.
I'm not surviving. It's just not happening.
I can't think of a comp along any of those lines in which one feels more favorable than the other. It's like cheetah sees you. You have 20 yards to go to the vehicle. He's 100 yards away. You're not making it.
No. Audi.
I don't think Freeze is making it. The Freeze, not Hugh Freeze.
I was like, yeah. I think I could beat Hugh Freeze in a race. That's saying something. Because I can't beat many humans.
There's just not a lot of animals. There's not a lot of animals I'm trying to mess with. Like, I don't think there's a single animal out there. Dude, I'll tell you what freaks me out. It's freaking snapping turtles. These things freak me out. Dude.
Yeah.
You just stick your hand in there. There it goes. There goes a hand.
Yeah. When we lived
in any of these things.
When we lived in Decatur, we were close to the wildlife refuge, and so we were on a golf cart ride one time, and there was one in the middle of the road where we were on the path, And, of course, daughter's like, turtle. You know, she was really young then. And I'm like, no, not that one. We stay away from that one. Like, we don't go anywhere near that thing. And then another guy was walking by, and he got a stick and was, like, trying to get it off the road.
Yeah.
Similar to, like, the alligator's agility and quickness.
Mm-hmm.
The quickness in which that thing attacked that stick from, like, literal non-movement, you didn't see it.
Yeah.
It was just like, bah, it happened. And you're like, I know that thing just snapped at that stick, but I'm not sure I saw it snap at that stick. I was like you, no part.
None.
Get me out of here.
Get me out of there.
I'm
None.
done.
None.
And then they don't let go.
No.
What's
They
the,
don't feel
what's the
bad
old
for
wives'
you.
tale? It's got a thunder or something for them to let go. I wonder if you could poke them in the eye and they'll let go, or punch in nostril.
As fast as they move, you may not
How
see
many?
it.
How many gorilla punches could you withstand?
I don't know if I've ever actually seen video of a gorilla punching something, but I'm going to say not many.
Over under 1.5.
Over. Where am I being punched? Face?
Doesn't matter. I don't think I had to tell
Probably
it.
take more in the shoulder.
You think you got shoulders like boulders like that? Oh, I remember back in our day, we did side lifts. I can do upright rows. I can take one in the shoulder? What? Like, ugh.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's not going to kill me as fast.
You don't know that.
That's the face. Like 2 in the junk, I'm probably out. I'm just giving up. I'm holding my breath and hoping it ends.
What about like the glute?
Yeah, then you're dealing with my lower back a little
You got
bit, my
hip.
hips, and that's
Yeah,
bad.
and then you're
news.
in trouble.
I'm out.
Yeah, then you have a front butt because it just
Like,
went through
Yeah,
you.
when's he going to debilitate me? Probably all areas. I might be able to take 1 or 2 to the chest, more so than the nostril. I'm just like an alligator. If you punch me in the nostril, I'm done. That's why they call me
What if I
Gator.
poke you in the eye?
Well, Richard Seymour didn't work for him.
That was a gouge. I'm talking.
He tried to poke too. Poke and gouge. Didn't work.
I'm gonna poke you in the eye next time you make me mad.
Go for it. See if I
Glad we're on
if I
YouTube
back
now.
up and feel like you're dead.
Yeah. Well, I'll do a death roll and twist your lower back, and you'll be out.
I found this entertaining because I have never once in my life thought about actually surviving an alligator death roll. I think I have always just thought to myself, yeah, you're over.
Had a good life,
It's
yeah.
done. That was fun.
Remember me fondly.
Or hopefully the leg comes off quickly and someone can get a tourniquet on that, and that'd be our best chance of survival. Not roll with alligator. Because, your brain does work that quickly as to alligators latched on. We're probably entering the death roll here in a moment. Get ready to roll with him because we don't know which direction he's going. And the violence in which he quickly can do that, your brain says, oh, yeah, go left.
Yeah, are they
Okay,
ambidextrous,
yeah.
left or right?
Okay, we stopped. Nose punch.
Poke,
punch.
poke,
I
poke.
guess.
Hold still. Hold on.
Wait a second, Gator. Damn it. You actually punch him in the neck and it doesn't work?
Yeah.
I don't feel like punching those things anywhere would work. They look like they're walking around with iron on their back.
Yeah, more or less.
Punch an alligator in the nose.
That ain't working.
And I don't feel like it's working. All right, back with more Mac and Cube next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kublik in the morning. Still have a lot to get to from a recruiting standpoint. Two others that I wanted to point out here in just a moment. And Greg and I were talking in the break. We just want to send our thoughts and prayers out to the Marsh family. Sarah Marsh, Mountain Brook native, father is an instructor there at Sanford, was lost at Camp Mystic over the weekend. Just completely unspeakable. There's nothing that I can say that can make any sort of sense of it, that can make us feel any better about it, but just horrifying in so many different ways. And GMAC, just wanted to send our love and prayers to that family and every family affected. There are multiple sites out there if you want to go donate and try to help right now. I've retweeted a couple of them. Not that that means anything extra than anybody else, but if you want to try to help, you can. And it's an unfortunate loss of life under the most unspeakable circumstances possible.
Yeah, it's just unthinkable. I mean, we were talking just a couple of weeks ago about how fun it is to go to camp, the excitement surrounding camp. It's just the most disturbing. It's the most disturbing story I can recall. Like, just so upsetting. So yeah, absolutely thinking about that family, the Marsh family, and just beyond sick to my stomach about just how helpless and how unfortunate it is. I don't know what you do. I just don't know what you do in that circumstance. Just so bothered by it.
Think about and pray for them that they can find some sort of peace in this situation, which is unimaginable in a lot of different ways. So they'll be in our thoughts and prayers, and we'll attempt to finish the show right after this. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Kulik in the morning, Monday, July 7th, 9:45, right here on Jox 94.5. Some other schools having some unexpected success in recruiting. We'll get to those in just a moment. First, speaking of success, Gusty Gould's group has had that from a realtor perspective here in central Alabama. It's been proven. They've served over 3,000 buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area, over 850 five-star Google reviews, brokered by eXp Realty. Since 2012, Gusty Gould's group recognized both nationally and locally as greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. That's why if you are selling a home, want to get into a new home, you call the Gusty Gould's group, 205-542-1996. They know the area. They know what's coming up. They've got the relationships built. Google Gusty Gould's group. See what people are saying for yourself. Or go to GustyGouldsGroup.com today. That's GustyGouldsGroup.com, or call 205-542-1996 and start packing. We brought this one up a little bit earlier. Did not spend much time in it, Greg, but Texas Tech continues their hot run of exactly what we have seen in the portal, now seeing it in more traditional recruiting. Five-star offensive tackle signed over the weekend or committed over the weekend. And then some other details were released from this deal, which that's the part that might be the most surprising. Not that a five-star has committed to Texas Tech, but Eli Letterman, who covers national recruiting and college football for ESPN, tweets out five-star offensive tackle Felix Ojo, number 20 in the ESPN 300, has committed to Texas Tech. His agent, Derek Shelby, think about this, tells ESPN Ojo will join Texas Tech on a fully guaranteed 3-year, $5.1 million revenue share contract. Believed to be one of the largest guaranteed deals in college football history. Let's not say believed. It is. Because there's not many, number one, ever. Now, Darren Heitner, who covers NIL and college football financially, responds to this and said, I've reviewed dozens of school revenue sharing contracts. All contain very strict confidentiality clauses. Maybe not in this case. Otherwise, I'm surprised the agent would attach his name to the source of this info. Risk worth reward of maybe getting more business for doing the deal.
Yeah. You don't understand why the agent would attach his name to it?
Understand why the agent would. Don't understand why there's not a clause in the contract that didn't allow the agent to.
Right.
Because now what's every kid going to say? Well, hold on. I know I'm not in the top 300 or the #1 tackle in the country, but
I should be close.
I should be in the same neighborhood. Shouldn't we be playing in the same stadium? Like, I realize he's in the major leagues, but I'm in low A? Shouldn't I at least be in triple A? So, yeah, there will be complications of allowing this to get out. And I know there are reasons you want it out, Greg, but surprising for a lot of reasons, I think.
It is and it isn't. I think in a weird world, Texas Tech would want this information out there.
Of course they would. But for...
Even though it probably makes everybody on their roster mad.
There you go.
But they probably still want this out there because Texas Tech is not necessarily a traditional destination hotspot for big-time recruits. It is valuable information to have out there and to have people aware. Texas Tech is absolutely open for business. I think it does go back a little bit to the $20.5 million that will be allowed from this point forward. I think that's something worth watching and worth paying attention to. Like, what percentage of the cap will the offensive tackles get? 10%? Come on. No way. Like, no disrespect to the position. It's a great position, a highly important position, but probably not a position that is going to warrant 10% of your overall budget. So where's the other money coming from? That's something worth watching. So there's a few angles to this that's interesting, but I think it's great that more and more guys are being able to kind of go to different places, and it brings programs that have not necessarily always had a chance, an opportunity to compete.
I think that it's all fair, and there are multiple ways to look at it, but still, $5.1 million guaranteed for 3 years for an offensive tackle. when your revenue share is going to be 20 a year for football.
Yeah.
Let's just say ballpark. Some might go to 24. Some might be 18, whatever. So you're almost to $2 million a year for one player. I don't care who that is.
Yeah.
It's 85 guys.
Fair, but how much of it is a deferred payment? How much of it? I mean, there's probably a bunch of different ways around this, a bunch of different ways that you can structure this. Like, all right, you get this now, and then when you graduate, you'll get X. And that's by way of a different
next year's money
mechanism.
Yeah.
You
know,
know,
there are going to be ways to game it, no doubt.
No question. And I don't know the answer to all of those just yet either. I'm not sure anybody does.
No,
but
nobody
be curious
does.
to see where it goes.
Well, how about this one? Sacramento State is a commitment from 4-star wide receiver Xavier McDonald, 6'2", 160, from Mississippi. Sacramento State, and apparently had multiple SEC offers in which he's choosing Sacramento State over. Continues that discussion on the things that they're doing, the people that are involved with it, and how they're operating, which is, it's just surprising. There's no other way to say it. It's surprising to see a school like Sacramento State beat Power 4 schools for a recruit. And as you stated earlier in the show discussing other schools, these aren't all going to stick. But it's wild where things are headed in a lot of ways in recruiting right now.
Yeah, and it is. And I think it's going to make things really interesting. Some guys will go to the highest bidder. Some guys are going to take less and go other places. That's just the reality, and that's okay. I think it's a nightmare to keep up with, to be honest with you. I think it'd be a nightmare to be an agent because we don't know at all if those numbers are accurate. There's no system of checks and balances. That could all be bogus. I mean, that's coming from the agent.
Sure.
That could be including every incentive. Hey, you win the Outland and the Heisman, you get 5.1. And fully guaranteed.
I'd love to see it.
Come on. The fully guaranteed is obviously always a word that needs to be challenged a little bit. Because every time we see a guy sign a big deal, Drew Rosenhaus is out there, oh, I got my guy this. And then you realize a little later, yeah, that's not exactly how it reads. So I guess with the clearinghouse, or not the clearinghouse, I guess the new College Sports Commission will have a better sense of what the market really is. And maybe we'll actually get more information about what these are really worth.
It's going to be wild to see kind of where it goes. We got some breaking news coming out of Norman, Oklahoma. We'll get to that for you in just a moment. First, I'll tell you about your CBD store. If you're looking for a better night's sleep, if you're looking for more energy throughout the course of the day, waking up feeling more refreshed, they have products that can help you right now. Arthritis or anxiety for you or your pet, your CBD store has products that can help you with those ailments. First company to have USDA certified organic oil supplements. To get that stamp seal, those products have to meet and achieve a certain set of standards and tests to be signed off on. They now have a lot of those products on the shelves at the largest brick and mortar CBD retailer in the world. Your CBD store has helped some pets in my household. They can help your pets, skincare, gut health, arthritis, anxiety, whatever they're dealing with. Multiple treats to be able to help them on a regular basis. Visit one of their 3 locations today, Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cajun Cleaver, Trustful just off 459, your CBD store where good health hits home. Joe Castiglione announcing that he is going to retire from Oklahoma. Now, not right this moment. He's going to retire from his full-time role during the upcoming school year. He's the longest tenured current athletic director in major college sports. He's going to help hire his successor and then stay on as athletic director emeritus. Is that correct?
That's right.
That's a word I don't think I've ever used.
Wow.
Very proud of him.
Yeah. 67 years old. He initiated the conversation about his retirement with the school about a month ago. These are per sources coming from Pete Thamel, and landed on this plan together. It allows Oklahoma to search for his replacement this year and offer a smooth transition. Timeline of the move will allow Oklahoma to make a hire in the upcoming months and then transition with he still being on campus. I can think of no better deal than you ready to shut it down, yet school wants to keep you around and offer you some sort of a check to just be a part of things. There's like zero risk to that.
You think that's a good spot to be in?
Any team fails. You know what no fan is doing? A damn Castiglione. Get rid of him.
Get him.
Josie screwed us again.
Told you.
Castiglione wasn't running things. Nobody's saying that. But you got a check coming in and you're helping make decisions.
Yep.
One day Ryan Haney says, yeah, you're no good on the air anymore, but we would love for you to just be here.
We just
every
need
day.
you to be around.
Yeah.
We're going to pay you the
we're
same.
Cut your pay a little bit, but
minimal.
Just show up.
Just be here.
Tell people what to do.
Be present.
That's what they did to Milton in Office Space.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good
Milton
deal.
had a great deal. All he did was collate. He was fine.
His tenure has seen 26 national championships. Obviously, Oklahoma's moved to the SEC, hired Bob Stoops to run the football program, a national football title, 5 Final Four runs, 2 men's, 3 women's, 8 softball championships. I'd say he's been successful. I'd say he did a pretty good job. And he's about to excuse himself from all blame.
Yes.
He'll still get paid.
Yep. Collected
Not
checks.
a bad deal. Keep
Great
wearing
spot.
that fedora, Joe. You did a great job. All right, we're back tomorrow.